जॉइन ऑडियो करके देखिए एक बार सर।
Sir, if you are hearing me, kindly press the audio button and then you can select the speaker. I think the computer audio is it connected.
नॉट ऑडिबल सर।
There are in the bottom left portion there is a audio button. You can select that and um, adjust the settings. I think it will do fine.
नॉट ऑडिबल सर। तो एक बार सिस्टम रिस्टार्ट करके देखिए। सर के सिस्टम में बड़ा लोचा हुआ पड़ा है।
Hello, can you hear me now? Hello, guys.
Yes, sir.
Yes,
यस सर,
sir.
लाउड एंड क्लियर।
Okay, चलो start करते हैं. Again, we starting 10 minutes late. Okay, आज अभी कौन पढ़ेगा? Whose turn is this now?
अब ये तो पीडीएफ फाइल खोलने के बाद ही पता चलेगा सर।
Okay. एक Okay, I'll just thing chat box, share option. शेयर ऑप्शन नीचे रहता है क्या, इधर रहता है?
नीचे ही रहता है सर।
शेयर। ओके, लास्ट मोइन पठान, you are there, he's not there, I think, huh? Hello, Moin Pathan is there? Can you hear me?
No, sir, he's not there.
Okay. Nandana J.
Yes, sir, I guess her was
उनका
completed.
हो गया था सर।
नंदना हो गया था।
जी सर, कल लास्ट में उन्हीं का हुआ
हाँ,
था।
राइट राइट। फ्रॉम चेन्नई आई थी। गीत का बाकी है क्या, गीत?
जी सर।
हाँ चलो, हु इज गीत? चलो शो मी योर फेस। चलो
एक
स्टार्ट करो। हाँ चलो।
सर, मैं दिख रहा हूँ।
हाँ हाँ,
ओके सर।
चलो पढ़ो। पहले
रात
बोलो,
के बाद
तुम क्या क्या साउंड यूज किया तुमने?
मैंने सारा साउंड यूज किया सर।
लेकिन तुम्हें बोला गया था सिर्फ 5 साउंड्स यूज करने के लिए, तुमने सारा साउंड क्यों यूज किया?
सर क्योंकि
क्यों?
ये सब पढ़ने के बाद मेरे दिमाग में एक हॉरर स्टोरी का आइडिया आ गया, जिसमें ये
सही बात है।
सारे साउंड यूज कर
देखो
सकते हैं।
देखो देखो, बात ये है, तुम सारे यहाँ पे क्वेश्चन यू हैव टू अंडरस्टैंड ना, कि तुम्हें बोला गया 5 साउंड्स, और नीचे है आई थिंक 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10 11 साउंड्स। तुम यू हैव टू अंडरस्टैंड, देखो दिस विल गो अगेंस्ट यू, ये तुम्हारे खिलाफ जाएगा, तुम्हारे फेवर में नहीं जाएगा। दैट मीन्स तुम यू आर नॉट लिसनिंग टू द क्वेश्चंस। ओके, तो चलो पढ़ो, फिर भी पढ़ो। हाँ, क्या है? लेट अस हियर योर स्टोरी।
ओके सर। रात के 12 बज रहे हैं। चारों ओर सन्नाटा छाया हुआ है। दो लोग, एक लड़का और एक लड़की, नोएडा सेक्टर 60 में स्थित फिनिक्स शू फैक्ट्री के की ओर अपने कदम बढ़ा रहे हैं। दिसंबर का महीना है और ठंडी हवाएं जोरों से चल रही हैं। लड़का और लड़की अपने कदम तेजी से बढ़ा रहे हैं। लड़का लड़की से पूछता है, बेबी और कितनी दूर जाता है? पता
समझ
नहीं
गया,
सर,
चलो
ये
ना, हाँ हाँ,
ये
ठीक है, चलो नो प्रॉब्लम।
बेबी और कितनी दूर है? लड़की जवाब देती है, बस थोड़ी ही दूर है। लड़का फिर पूछता है, कार इतनी दूर पार करने का की क्या जरूरत थी भला? लड़की चिढ़ते हुए बोलती है, पता नहीं सर, मैंने तो सही लिख के भेजा था, यहाँ पे कुछ गड़बड़
कुछ हो
हो
गया,
गई है।
फॉर्मेटिंग का प्रॉब्लम हो गया। चलो वो कोई प्रॉब्लम नहीं है, तुम पढ़ो।
ओके
हाँ
सर। बेबी, हम गैर कानूनी तरीके से एक तो प्राइवेट प्रॉपर्टी को ट्रेसपास करने जा रहे हैं। कार अगर इधर लाते तो प्रॉब्लम हो जाती ना। अब बोलो कम और चलो ज्यादा। लड़का चुपचाप चलने लगता है। थोड़ी देर में वो लोग वहां पहुंच जाते हैं। गेट पर चौकीदार नहीं था तो वो लोग मुख्य द्वार के रास्ते फैक्ट्री में घुस जाते हैं। लड़की के पास फैक्ट्री का ब्लूप्रिंट था, जिसके जरिए वो और उसका बॉयफ्रेंड एक खुफिया एंट्रेंस तक पहुंचते हैं। लड़का दरवाजे को देखकर कहता है, तुम श्योर हो ना निकिता? लड़की कहती है, हाँ। लड़का ओके देन बोलकर दरवाजा खोल देता है। दरवाजा लॉक नहीं था, इसलिए वो चरमराते हुए खुल जाता है। अंदर घुसते ही उन्हें बहुत अंधेरा दिखाई पड़ता है। दोनों अपनी अपनी टॉर्च निकाल लेते हैं। निकिता कहती है, चलो बेसमेंट की ओर। वहीं पर लगभग 200 आदमी, औरत और बच्चे आग में जलकर मरे थे। लड़का हाँ में सर हिला देता है और दोनों आगे बढ़ते हैं। सीढ़ियों के पास पहुंचकर उन्हें नकारात्मक ऊर्जा का आभास होने लगता है। डर दोनों को थोड़ा बहुत लगने लगता है, पर कोई कुछ कहता नहीं है। सीढ़ी से उतरते समय अचानक एक बड़ा सा चूहा उनके पैर के पास से गुजरता है, जिसे देख के दोनों डर जाते हैं और चीख पड़ते हैं। चूहे पर उन्हें गुस्सा तो आता है, पर कोई कुछ कहता नहीं। बस दोनों आगे बढ़ने लगते हैं। नीचे पहुंचकर वो देखते हैं कि हर जगह अंधेरा है। ये अंधेरा कुछ अलग था, क्योंकि क्योंकि ये कुछ ज्यादा ही नकारात्मक ऊर्जा से भरा हुआ था। दोनों का डर बहुत बढ़ गया था। लड़का न, लड़का निकिता के कान के बगल में अचानक चिल्ला देता है। निकिता सहम जाती है और ये देखकर वो लड़का खूब हंसने लगता है। निकिता उसे गुस्से से मारने लगती है। इस बात से वो और हंसने लगता है। निकिता कहती है, ये क्या था? इट वॉजंट फनी। लड़का ताव में कहता है, जानता हूँ मेरी जान, तुझे छेड़ने में बड़ा मजा आता है। और ये जगह वैसे भी उतनी डरावनी है नहीं जितना कि लोग कहते हैं। निकिता गुस्से में कहती है, ज्यादा बनो मत। एक तो तुम्हारी स्टूपिड फैंटेसी के चक्कर में हम यहाँ पर आए हैं, और तुम हो कि मुझे हार्ट अटैक देने पे उतारू हो। लड़का अपने कान पकड़ के कहता है, अच्छा सॉरी बेबी, दोबारा ऐसा नहीं करूंगा, पक्का प्रॉमिस। अब तुम भी तो इतनी एक्साइटेड थी ना इसके लिए। लड़का निकिता को मनाते हुए कहता है, चल लेट्स गेट टू बिजनेस, पूरी रात थोड़ी ना बितानी है यहाँ पर। लड़का निकिता को गले लगाकर कहता है, आई लव यू, ओके। तुम्हारी सेफ्टी मेरी फर्स्ट प्रायोरिटी है। सर थोड़ा सा नीचे कर दीजिएगा। निकिता हल्का सा धक्का देकर कहती है, तुम पागल हो क्षितिज। क्षितिज निकिता को के चेहरे को अपने हाथों में लेकर उसकी आंखों में देखकर कहता है, लेकिन सिर्फ तुम्हारे लिए मेरी जान। निकिता शर्माने लगती है। दोनों को तभी दूर कहीं ट्रैफिक में फंसी गाड़ियों के हॉर्न बजने की आवाज सुनाई देने लगती है। दोनों को अजीब तो लगता है, पर वो इसे नजरअंदाज कर देते हैं। निकिता कहती है, अब बस इस जगह की तहकीकाती करते रहोगे या कुछ करोगे भी? दोनों मुस्कुराने लगते हैं। तभी क्षितिज अचानक निकिता को अपनी गोद में उठाता है और एक मशीन पे ले जाकर रख देता है। निकिता और ज्यादा शर्माने लगती है। निकिता अपनी नजरें नीची कर लेती है। क्षितिज उसके बाएं कान के आगे लटक रही जुल्फों को कान के पीछे करता है, और उसी रास्ते अपनी अपनी उंगलियों को उसकी ठुड्डी की ओर ले जाकर उसकी नजरें ऊंची करता है। निकिता के चेहरे पर एक अलग मुस्कान आ जाती है। वो अब अपने होठ उसके होठों के पास ले जाने लग जाता है। निकिता भी अपनी आंखें बंद कर लेती है। दोनों के होठ लगभग मिलने ही वाले थे कि तभी पास पड़ा रेडियो अपने आप बजने लगता है। क्षितिज का ध्यान उस पर चला जाता है। निकिता मूड में होने के कारण उसे अपने ओर खींच लेती है, और उसे वो इग्नोर करने को बोलती है और उसे अपनी ओर खींच लेती है। दोनों के चेहरे काफी नजदीक आ जाते हैं और दोनों एक दूसरे को चूमने लगते हैं। दोनों एक दूसरे की पीठ को सहलाने लगते हैं। तभी अचानक मोबाइल उनके मोबाइल अब बेवजह बजने लग जाते हैं। दोनों इसे भी इग्नोर करके काम क्रिया में मग्न रहते हैं। दोनों की सांसें तेज होने लगती हैं। दोनों आगे कुछ करते उससे पहले ही आसपास के दरवाजों पर जोर से दस्तक होने लगती है। ऐसा लगता है जैसे दरवाजा अगर खोला नहीं गया तो वो दरवाजा तोड़ देंगे। दोनों की रूह कांप जाती है ये देखकर। उनके अंदर की सारी वासना उसी क्षण लुप्त हो जाती है। तभी कई सारे आदमियों, महिलाओं और बच्चों के रोने और चीखने की आवाजें सुनाई पड़ती हैं। निकिता डर के मारे क्षितिज के सीने से लिपट जाती है। क्षितिज भी बहुत घबरा गया था, मगर अपने अंदर का डर अपने अंदर ही दबा लेता है ताकि निकिता सुरक्षित महसूस कर सके। दोनों दोनों बुरी तरह भयभीत हो गए थे हैं। तभी अचानक से सारे दरवाजे टूट जाते हैं और कई सारे जलते हुए लोग। तो थोड़ा सा एक मिनट ऊपर कर दीजिएगा। तभी अचानक सारे दरवाजे टूट जाते हैं और कई सारे जलते हुए लोग उनकी ओर भागते हुए आते दिखाई पड़ते हैं। ये देखकर दोनों ना आव देखते हैं ना ताव, बस भागने लगते हैं वहां से। पूरे कमरे में आग फैलने लगती है। आग की रोशनी में वो लोग और ज्यादा डरावने लगने लगते हैं। दौड़ते दौड़ते वे सीढ़ियों के पास पहुंचते हैं। सीढ़ियां चढ़ते समय उन्हें पानी की छपाक छपाक आवाज सुनाई देती है, जैसे कोई ऊपर से पानी फेंक रहा हो। दोनों की जान हलक में आ गई है। दोनों और तेजी से भागने लगते हैं। एंट्रेंस के पास पहुंचकर उन्हें लोरी सुनाई पड़ती है, पर वहां कोई नहीं होता है। वे तुरंत दरवाजा खोलकर उसे कस के बंद करते हैं और अपनी कार की ओर मुख्य द्वार के रास्ते भागने लगते हैं। सड़क पर कोहरा होने के कारण उन्हें कुछ सही से दिखाई नहीं देता है। लोगों की चीखने चिल्लाने की आवाजें और तेज हो जाती हैं। ये सुनकर वे और तेजी से दौड़ने लगते हैं। काफी दूर तक दौड़ने के बाद आखिरकार वो अपनी कार तक पहुंच जाते हैं। कार में घुसते ही क्षितिज तेजी से उसे घुमाकर उल्टी दिशा में निकल पड़ता है निकिता के बैठते ही। निकिता हाँफते हुए कहती है, आज के बाद ऐसी कोई भी स्टूपिड फैंटेसी पूरी करने के लिए मुझे बोलना मत तुम। क्षितिज तभी भारी आवाज में कहता है, आज के बाद उसका मौका नहीं, आज के बाद उसका मौका भी नहीं मिलने वाला तुम्हें जाने मन। निकिता घबरा के क्षितिज की ओर देखती है तो उसे क्षितिज के चेहरे पर एक शैतानी मुस्कान दिखाई पड़ती है। तभी निकिता को कार के बाहर से किसी के चिल्लाने की आवाज सुनाई पड़ती है। वो मुड़ के देखती है तो क्षितिज सड़क पे दौड़ रहा है और उसे पुकारते हुए। निकिता की जान हलक में आ गई है। जब वे जब वो मुड़कर ड्राइविंग सीट की ओर देखती है तो वहां पर उसे एक जलता हुआ आदमी दिखाई कार ड्राइव करता रहा होता है। निकिता चीख पड़ती है।
देखो, फर्स्ट ऑफ ऑल 500 वोट से बहुत ज्यादा है।
जी।
हाँ,
जी
ये
सर।
मुझे लग रहा है 2000 वोट्स वोट्स के होंगे।
नहीं,
हाँ,
1100,
तो
ग्यारह
तुमने
सौ के
इतना लंबा
आसपास है।
क्यों लिखा?
अब
देखो, तुम क्या कर रहे हो? हाँ, 1100 के आसपास है, डबल ना, मोर देन डबल। ये देखो, तुम्हें समझना चाहिए कि क्वेश्चन सबको समझना चाहिए, क्वेश्चन पूछ क्या रहा है और उसी हिसाब से तुम्हें आंसर देना चाहिए। तुम यू गॉट कैरिड अवे, समझ गया ना? यू गॉट कैरिड अवे मतलब तुम लिखना शुरू किया तो लिखे ही जा रहे हो, लिखे ही जा रहे हो। देखो, तुम्हारा डिटेलिंग बहुत अच्छे है, ओके, तुम्हारा जो बहुत विजुअल स्टोरी टेलिंग है वो सब सही है, लेकिन एग्जामिनर जो है तुम्हें मार्क्स नहीं देंगे। You will be evaluated on the basis of the first 500 words, not on the rest of the words. ये दिमाग में रखो। और तुम्हें फाइव साउंड्स यूज करने के लिए बोला, तुम मुझे बता रहे हो तुमने सारा साउंड यूज किया, ओके। और 500 वर्ड्स का जब कहानी लिख रहे हो, आई एम टेलिंग दिस टू एवरीबॉडी, प्लीज डोंट हैव डायलॉग्स, ओके। डायलॉग्स जब तुम लिखोगे और भी ज्यादा वर्ड काउंट बढ़ते जाता है, ओके। सो उतना डायलॉग के डिटेल्स में नहीं जाने का। कोई भी कहानी दिमाग में आए, कोई भी कहानी तुम लिख रहे हो, अगर तुम्हें बोला जा रहा है 500 वर्ड्स, 500 वर्ड्स के अंदर खत्म करो। अगर तुम्हें बोला जाए 1000 वर्ड्स, 1000 वर्ड्स के अंदर खत्म करो, उससे ज्यादा मत लिखो। प्रोडक्शन हाउस में क्या होता है? प्रोफेशनल प्रोडक्शन हाउस में ऑनलाइन में लोग सिनॉप्सिस मांगते हैं, बोलते हैं 500 वर्ड्स के अंदर सिनॉप्सिस लिख के दो। तो तुम 500 वर्ड्स का सिनॉप्सिस तुमने अलग से लिखा है पेज में, तुम कॉपी पेस्ट करके तुमने डाला वो बॉक्स के अंदर, ठीक है। तुम्हारा सिनॉप्सिस अगर 503 वर्ड्स है, लास्ट 3 वर्ड्स विल नॉट बी इंक्लूडेड इन द बॉक्स। वो लोग रिफ्यूज करेंगे, द बॉक्स इटसेल्फ विल रिफ्यूज द लास्ट 3 वर्ड्स, because it has been designed in such a manner it will only take 500 words। मैं ये ऑनलाइन के बारे में बोल रहा हूँ, ये एग्जाम के बारे में नहीं बोल रहा हूँ, ठीक है। तो तुम्हें ये समझना चाहिए जो तुम्हें जो पूछा जा रहा है उसी का तुम फॉलो करो, उसके बाहर मत जाओ, नो मैटर हाउ फैंटास्टिक दैट स्टोरी इज।
समझ गया सर।
समझ गया ना? तुम्हें कंट्रोल में रहना चाहिए। तुम ये मत सोचो कि मैं बहुत बढ़िया कहानी लिखा, एग्जामिनर तुम्हारा कहानी सही है, मेरा कहानी से कोई प्रॉब्लम नहीं है, बट एज एन एग्जामिनर आई हैव प्रॉब्लम्स, यू हैव नॉट फॉलोड द गाइडलाइंस। और जब बोला जा रहा है फाइव फाइव साउंड, ओनली यूज ओनली 5 साउंड्स ना। ओके, चलो, एक्सप्रेस योर views for or against TV shows in India which are based on foreign shows. Give suitable example. Again, 500 words. Okay, Paro.
The idea of bringing foreign TV shows to India and making our own versions has some people worried. They think this might not be good for our own TV industry. Let's look at why some people are against it. One big concern is that it might be stopping new and original ideas from coming out. Instead of creating our own stories, we are copying what works in other countries. This could make our TV shows less unique and interesting. Another problem is that when we take a show from another country and try to make it fit in India, we might lose what made it special in the first place. The little details and feelings that worked in the original might not work the same way here. So the show might not be as good as the original one. People are also worried that by copying foreign shows, we might forget about our own stories. India has so many different cultures and languages, and our TV should reflect that diversity. But if we keep copying shows from other places, we might end up with the same kinds of stories over and over again. Some also think that by copying foreign shows, we are not giving our own writers, directors, and actors a chance to show what they can do. We have a lot of talent in India, and we should trust our own people to create great TV shows. Lastly, there's a concern about jobs. When we make our own shows, it creates jobs for people in the industry, actors, writers, directors, and many more. But if we keep bringing in foreign shows, it might limit these job opportunities for our own talented professionals. In simple words, some people feel that bringing in foreign TV shows might not be the best thing for our own TV industry. They they worry it could make our shows less unique, forget about our own stories, and limit job opportunities for our talented people. It's like we are missing out on the chance to tell our own stories in our own way.
देखो, तुमने जो लिखा, तुम्हारा ओपिनियन लिखा, ठीक है, इसमें ठीक है, अपना ओपिनियन एनीबडी कैन गिव, एंड व्हाट इज डिजायर्ड इन दिस क्वेश्चन, यहाँ पे बोला गया एक्सप्रेस योर व्यूज फॉर और अगेंस्ट टीवी शोज इन इंडिया व्हिच आर बेस्ड ऑन फॉरेन शोज, गिव सूटेबल एग्जांपल्स। तुमने एग्जांपल नहीं दिया, कोई भी एग्जांपल नहीं दिया। तुम कौन बनेगा करोड़पति का एग्जांपल दे सकते थे, ठीक है ना, इट्स अ वेरी पॉपुलर फॉर्मेट। देन यू कुड हैव गिवन दैट, क्या होता है सलमान खान जो ये करता है, what's that
Big
show?
Boss.
Big Boss. That is also a copy of Western concept format. Okay, and of course there are Indian Idol, American Idol. Okay, so there are a lot of popular Western shows जिसका format हम लोग successfully इंडिया में copy कर चुके हैं, कर रहे हैं, अभी भी कर रहे हैं, करेंगे भी in the future. Okay, लेकिन तुमने तय किया कि इसके खिलाफ लिखोगे तुम, इसके फेवर में नहीं। Very good. So, first mistake that you have done, you have not given examples. There was one student yesterday, she had given examples about, from Friends. Friends को मतलब Friends का format और characters copy करने का कोशिश किया, लेकिन did not work, है ना, क्योंकि इंडियन कॉन्टेक्स्ट, इंडियन सेंसिबिलिटीज थोड़ा सा डिफरेंट है। फ्रेंड्स के कैरेक्टर्स का जो सेंसिबिलिटीज है, ओके, एंड शी हैड गिवन अ फ्यू मोर एग्जांपल्स। तुम अभी का एग्जांपल दे सकते थे, आर्चीज जो बनाया है जोया अख्तर ने, ठीक है, फॉर अ लॉट ऑफ पीपल इट वर्क, फॉर अ लॉट ऑफ पीपल इट डिड नॉट वर्क। तुमने देखा आर्चीज? देखा?
नहीं सर।
नहीं देखा, ठीक है। तो अगर तुमने नहीं देखा तो तुम उसके ऊपर लिख भी नहीं सकते। तो व्हाट वाज डिजायर्ड इन दिस क्वेश्चन व्हिच यू मिस्ड आउट इज you should have given
Example.
certain examples, and because you are against the motion, you should have given examples and explain ki why those shows are not working, ठीक है। जैसे कल एक स्टूडेंट का बारे में नंबर 2, देखो ये मैं कल बोला था, फिर अगेन मैं एम टेलिंग यू, ये टेलीविजन इंडस्ट्री जो है ना, ये प्राइवेट है, सरकारी नहीं है। एक जमाना था सरकारी था दूरदर्शन, ठीक है, देन प्राइवेटाइजेशन केम, ग्लोबलाइजेशन, व्हेन ग्लोबलाइजेशन केम इनटू इंडिया, इकोनॉमिक लिबरलाइजेशन, सो इट बिकेम प्राइवेट। स्टार टीवी, there's हजार चैनल्स, अभी 99% ऑफ द चैनल्स आर प्राइवेट चैनल्स, एक्सेप्ट आई थिंक राज्य टीवी जो पार्लियामेंट का डिबेट्स वगैरह। एनीवे, सो प्राइवेट टेलीविजन चैनल्स जो थे, ये समझने की कोशिश करो, they are extremely ruthless, they are not bothered about your culture, किसको नौकरी मिल रहा है, किसको नौकरी नहीं मिल रही, they are not bothered at all, and they are a business concern, okay, so what they will find out, if something is working, whether it's a western concept, western format, or whether it's a original Indian concept, if it is working, they'll continue to beam the show for TRP ratings. TRP rating is very important, earn their money, and they'll laugh their way to the bank. वो क्या गलत आइडियोलॉजी हो सकता है, दे आर प्रोपेगेटिंग गलत आइडियोलॉजी, रिग्रेसिव आइडियोलॉजी, दे आर नॉट बॉथर्ड, दे देमसेल्व्स आर वेरी प्रोग्रेसिव। सास बहू का सीरियल बहुत ही गलत सीरियल्स होते थे, जॉइंट फैमिली, बहू, ये वो वगैरह वगैरह, अभी भी होता है, अब वी डोंट वॉच दोस सीरियल्स, वेरी कंजर्वेटिव, वेरी काइंड ऑफ रिग्रेसिव, ओके, द वे द वुमेन आर शोन एंड ऑल। हाँ बोलो तन्वी, अनम्यूट करो, वी कांट हियर यू।
सॉरी हाँ।
बोलो।
रुको, जाओ कोचिंग में, वो सर कुछ नहीं, मेरी बहन बीच में आ गई थी। अच्छा सर, अगर सर आपने जो सास बहू के सीरियल्स वाली बात कही सर, तो आपको उस पर क्या लगता है कि इससे पहले 90s में जो सीरियल्स बनते थे, अभी कुछ दिन पहले मैंने 2 यूट्यूबर्स के वीडियोस देखे, जिन्होंने कहा था कि 2000 या 2001 में जैसे सास बहू के सीरियल शुरू हुए थे एकता कपूर के, उससे पहले जो सीरियल्स बनते थे वो काफी ज्यादा प्रोग्रेसिव थे, मतलब ऐसे जैसे कि कुछ ऐसे मिडिल क्लास लाइफस्टाइल के भी सीरियल्स हुआ करते, जैसे ये जो है जिंदगी मुझे काफी अच्छा लगा था, और एक पागले की दुनिया जो पहले वाला
वही
था
तो
वो अच्छा था।
वही तो मैं बताना चाह रहा हूँ ना, जो ये जो है जिंदगी, या बहुत सारे अच्छे अच्छे नुक्कर, ओके,
तारा,
हाँ तारा, ये जो सीरियल्स होते थे,
सियोक्स,
ये सरकारी चैनल्स होते थे, और सरकारी चैनल्स का एक सोशल रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी उन लोग का दिमाग में रहता था कि हम लोग जो दिखाएंगे वो रिग्रेसिव ना हो, वो प्रोग्रेसिव होना चाहिए, और गलत कुछ वैल्यूज प्रीच ना करे, हाँ,
हम्म।
तो बहुत अच्छे अच्छे 80s में तुम देखोगे। हाँ, तुमने जो बोला ये जो है जिंदगी वगैरह वगैरह
मैंने
80s
80s
का
के कुछ
है। हाँ
देखे हैं
80s का,
सीरियल।
हाँ 80s नुक्कड़ 80s का है, 90s तक चला वो। फिर क्या हुआ, तो जब सरकार ये जब चैनल्स चला रहा था, दे वर गिविंग अ लॉट ऑफ अपॉर्चुनिटीज टू अननोन पीपल, अननोन टैलेंट, गुड टैलेंट, एक्टर्स, टेक्नीशियंस, ओके, रीजनल स्टोरीज, बहुत सारे इंडियन स्टोरीज बाय रिटन बाय famous Indian writers, Munshi Premchand, Rabindranath Tagore. Okay, there's so many other writers from all over the country whose stories were adapted for television. तो वो जमाना गया, वो जमाना नहीं रहा after globalization. Okay, after globalization, people become extremely ruthless. कि हो सकता है उनको पता है कि हम जो प्रोग्राम बना रहे हैं घटिया प्रोग्राम है, घटिया मतलब घटिया आइडियोलॉजी, ठीक है। लेकिन बी टाउन्स जो होते हैं, स्मॉल टाउन्स जो होते हैं, 3 टियर टाउन्स जो होते हैं, वहां के लोग बहुत पसंद करते हैं। अब पसंद करते हैं, टीआरपी रेटिंग मिल रहा है, हमें पैसा भी मिल रहा है, चलो बनाते जाओ। बट दे देमसेल्व्स आर एक्सट्रीमली प्रोग्रेसिव। ये लोग बहुत बदमाश है, जान के रखो। अपना लाइफ में दे आर वेरी प्रोग्रेसिव, वेरी लिबरल। हाँ, लेकिन वो लोग ऑडियंस को सोचते हैं, अरे सब ये ऑडियंस ऐसा ही है, साला जो चाहता है दे दे यार, हमें तो पैसा मिल रहा है ना। दैट इज द
हम्म।
एटीट्यूड,
हाँ,
वेरी
लाइक इससे
रूथलेस
पहले
एटीट्यूड।
जैसे मैंने
हाँ
जो 80s के सीरियल्स बताए थे, वो
हाँ
फिर भी रिलेटेबल तो लगते थे एटलीस्ट, मतलब उसमें
एग्जैक्टली।
नेचुरल भी
देखो
लगते
वो
थे, मतलब
जमाने
कोई
में
ओवर
जो हुआ
ड्रामा
द
नहीं
पीपल,
था।
कुंदन शाह, सैयद मिर्जा, these are the people who are making those shows. They were
एंड
from FTII
वागले की
and
दुनिया वाज
हाँ
मेड
हाँ हाँ हाँ,
बाय
वोगले,
आर के
हाँ वोगले
नारायण
के जो है
थे।
आर के नारायण के स्टोरीज के ऊपर आधारित थे वो सब,
हाँ।
ठीक है ना। सो दे वर एक्सट्रीमली ब्राइट पीपल, इंटेलिजेंट पीपल। ओके, a lot of them are dead today, a lot of them are
हम्म।
retired, they can't make, they're not in a position to
हम्म।
make those shows, and the television shows have been taken over by people who are extremely ruthless. लेकिन अभी
हम्म।
गुड थिंग इज दिस कि ओटीटी में जो,
हम्म।
ओटीटी का जमाना शुरू हो गया, 3-4 साल हो गया।
हाँ,
ओटीटी में जो
टीवीएफ
प्रोग्राम,
टीवीएफ इज रूलिंग हियर।
हाँ,
टीवीएफ।
सो ओटीटी में देखो बहुत अच्छे अच्छे प्रोग्राम्स बन रहे हैं।
हम्म।
ओके, और दे आर पॉपुलर आल्सो। रेलवे, कल मैं बता रहा था,
हाँ।
रेलवे मैन है कितना, दहाद है, पाताल लोक है, हाँ,
या
वो सब बैठ के तुम
इवन
देखो।
टीवीएफ पे अगर आप फैमिली शोज भी देखें, जैसे ये मेरी फैमिली और गुल्लक टाइप के सीरियल्स होते हैं, मतलब उनमें जो फैमिलीज दिखाई दे वो रिलेटेबल भी लगती है, मतलब
एग्जैक्टली
कि
एग्जैक्टली।
हाँ ये हमारी घरेलू जिंदगी में होता है।
तो ये तुम्हें जाना चाहिए। और गीत, तुम्हारा मेन प्रॉब्लम है तुमने एग्जाम्पल्स नहीं दिया, है ना। हाँ ठीक है, तुम खिलाफ लिखा ठीक है, लेकिन ये भी समझने की कोशिश करो, प्राइवेट टेलीविजन नेटवर्क है, तो वो लोग दे आर नॉट बॉदर्ड अपॉन एनी काइंड ऑफ सोशल रिस्पेक्ट। हार में जाए, हमें पैसा मिल रहा है, ठीक है। एटीट्यूड बहुत गलत है, लेकिन तुम कुछ कर नहीं पाओगे, हम कुछ कर नहीं पाएंगे। अच्छा, अभी व्हाट इज द डिफरेंस बिटवीन फॉर्म एंड स्टाइल इन फिल्म मेकिंग, एलाबोरेट ऑन द डिस्टिंक्शन विद एग्जांपल ऑफ इंडियन फिल्म। हाँ बोलो, पढ़ो जरा।
In the realm of filmmaking, form and style are two critical elements that shape the overall cinematic experience. While these terms are interconnected, they have distinct characteristics that contribute to the uniqueness of a film. Sorry. Let's delve into the difference between form and style, illustrating with examples from an Indian filmmaker and an international filmmaker. Form in filmmaking. Form in movies is like the blueprint of or structure of a building. It's how the story is put together, how scenes are arranged, and how everything is organized. Think of it as the way the director chooses to tell the story, including camera angles, how scenes are cut together, and the use of music and sound. Example, Indian filmmaker Satyajit Ray. Imagine watching a movie like Pathir Panchali by Satyajit Ray. In this film, Ray tells the story in a simple yet powerful way. He uses the long shots and natural performances to capture the daily life of a boy named Apu in rural Bengal. The way he puts scenes together and uses music creates a unique form for the film, making it special and different from other movies. Style in filmmaking. Style in movies is like the director's personal touch or signature. In the unique way a filmmaker does things that makes their movie stand out. This can include visual choices, storytelling techniques, and recurring themes that you often see in their work. Example, international filmmaker Quentin Tarantino. Now think about Quentin Tarantino, a famous American filmmaker. When you watch his
यहाँ पे
films,
ये एक चीज गीत, telling this to others also. Now think about Quentin Tarantino, the famous American filmmaker. You're wasting words. Everybody knows he's a famous American. तो जो
okay,
इंफॉर्मेशन सबको पता है ना, वो तुम मत लिखो, ठीक है ना। लेट्स टेक टैरेंटिनोज पल्प फिक्शन और किल बिल, यहीं से तुम शुरू कर सकते हो। सो यू सेव ऑन वर्ड्स, ओके, एंड यू कैन
Okay,
राइट
sir.
मोर, क्योंकि ये फेमस अमेरिकन फिल्म मेकर है, ये है वो है, सबको पता है। ओके, सत्यजीत रे
ठीक है सर.
फेमस इंडियन फिल्म मेकर है, सबको पता है। तो फेमस, डोंट यूज द वर्ड फेमस एनीमोर। ओके, ओके
Okay,
देन
sir.
हाँ।
When you watch his films, movies like Pulp Fiction or Kill Bill, you notice certain things that are always there, like intense close-up shots, unique dialogue, and music that stands out. These are a part of Tarantino's style. He has a way of telling stories and using visuals that make his movies easily recognizable and different from others. In simple terms, form is about how the story is structured and told, while style is about the unique way a filmmaker does things that makes their movies special. Satyajit Ray and Quentin Tarantino are great examples of how filmmakers can create their own forms and styles to tell stories in a way that's both interesting and personal. Understanding these ideas helps us appreciate the art and creativity that goes into making movies.
ठीक है, ये फिर भी सही है ये आंसर, लेकिन तुमने सत्यजीत रे का फॉर्म के बारे में बोला और टारंटिनो का स्टाइल के बारे में, लेकिन दोनों का फॉर्म और स्टाइल के बारे में बोलना चाहिए। ठीक है, सत्यजीत रे का फॉर्म तुमने जैसे डिस्कस किया, स्टाइल भी तुम्हें डिस्कस करना चाहिए। ठीक है, और टारंटिनो के बारे में टारंटिनो का स्टाइल तुमने डिस्कस किया, फॉर्म भी तुम्हें डिस्कस करना चाहिए। दैट इज व्हाट द क्वेश्चन इज अबाउट। ठीक है,
ठीक
तो
है सर.
तुमने अलग अलग ऐसा डिस्कस किया। देखो, स्टाइल इज वेरी पर्सनल, स्टाइल इज द पर्सनल ब्रांडिंग, द पर्सनल सिग्नेचर दैट वन कैन फाइंड आउट। ठीक है ना। जैसे कल मैं बता रहा था कि फॉर्म इज बेसिकली, तुमने जो लिखा, बहुत लोगों ने वही लिखा कि हाउ इट इज ऑर्गेनाइज्ड, बिकॉज द स्टोरी डिसाइड्स द फॉर्म। okay, and it's not the form which decides the story, you start with the content। okay, story is the content will decide मेरा शेप क्या होगा, है ना, हमारा बर्तन का शेप क्या होगा, थाली का शेप कैसा होगा, दैट इज अ फॉर्म। ओके, एंड नाउ एवरीबडी नोज द फॉर्म। हाँ, ऐसा ऐसा होनी चाहिए, ऐसे होने, ऐसे रोमांटिक फिल्म में तो ऐसा लाइटिंग होनी चाहिए, हॉरर फिल्म में तो ऐसा लाइटिंग होनी चाहिए, सबको पता है, दैट इज अ फॉर्म। ओके, विच इज यूनिवर्सली एक्सेप्टेड। ओके, बट उसके अंदर तुम्हारा अपना स्टैम्प क्या तुम छोड़ रहे हो, सो दैट इट्स इजिली आइडेंटिफाइबल। हाँ, ये गीत का स्टाइल है, ये तन्वी का स्टाइल नहीं है, और ये तन्वी का स्टाइल है, ये प्रगीत का स्टाइल नहीं है। सबका अपना अपना स्टाइल होता है ना। तो स्टाइल इज द पर्सनल स्टैम्प जो people either most often people, filmmakers, unconsciously do that. It's not a very conscious decision. Consciously they're using the technology in a certain manner, which reflects their style. Okay, so style is basically the personal stamp that an author or a filmmaker leaves behind on his work. Okay. Cinematic treatment and script. Okay, chalo paro.
The term cinematic treatment and script are fundamental components of the filmmaking process, and they play distinct roles in shaping the narrative and visual aspects of both documentary and fictional films. Cinematic treatment. Cinematic treatment is like a movie's plan before it's fully written down. It's a kind of roadmap that explains the overall feel and look of the film without going into every detail. For documentaries, it's about how the real stories or topics will be shown on screen, like using interviews, pictures, or reenactments. It helps the filmmaker get a clear picture of how to make the film visually interesting while staying true to the real events. Documentary film. In a documentary, the cinematic treatment is like a guide for the filmmaker. It might talk about using real interviews, showing old footage, or using a specific style to tell a true story. For example, if the documentary is about nature, the treatment could outline how to use beautiful landscapes and interviews with experts to share important messages about the environment. Script. Now, the script is more like the complete written plan for a movie. It's detailed and includes everything: what characters say, what they do, and how each scene should look. In fiction films, it's like the instruction manual for making the story come alive on screen. Fiction film. For fiction films, the script is super important. It's like a storybook that tells everyone involved in making the movie exactly what needs to happen. The script includes details like what characters say, how they feel, and what the camera should show in each scene. It helps actors know what to do, directors know how to film, and everyone else to work together to create a fictional world. Differences. The big difference is in the level of detail. Cinematic treatment is like a big picture idea. It talks about the overall look and feel. On the other hand, the script is like The nitty-gritty details, every line that characters say, every action they take, and every shot that camera captures. In simple terms, the cinematic treatment is the general plan, giving a feel for the movie, and the script is the detailed guide, telling everyone exactly what to do to bring the movie to life, whether it's a real story in a documentary or a made up story in a fiction film. Both are crucial to make a great movie.
ठीक है, सही है, बिल्कुल सही है। तुमने जो लिखा लास्ट में, द सेमी जनरल प्लान, ट्रीटमेंट जो होता है वो जनरल प्लान होता है। हाँ, और स्क्रिप्ट जो है वो डिटेल्ड होता है, ठीक है ना। लेकिन एक चीज है, डॉक्यूमेंट्री में यू कैन नॉट हैव अ वेरी डिटेल्ड स्क्रिप्ट, जो कल मैं समझा रहा था, ठीक है ना, क्योंकि डॉक्यूमेंट्री में यू हैव अ वेरी जनरल आइडिया, तुम क्या चाहते हो, किसको इंटरव्यूज, किसका इंटरव्यू लोगे, कहाँ कहाँ शूट करोगे, क्या शूट करोगे। लेकिन कौन बंदा क्या बात बोलेगा इंटरव्यू में तुम्हें पता नहीं, यू माइट गेस। एक पॉलिटिशियन है वो कुछ और बोलेगा, ब्यूरोक्रेट है तो कुछ और बोलेगा, और जो रियल लोग है वो कुछ और बोलेगा। The three different points of view that you will know, that always happens basically, and they will contradict each other. Politician कुछ और बोलेगा, अगर वो पावर में है बोलेगा हम लोग सब जो कर रहे हैं अच्छा कर रहे हैं, ऑपोजिशन वाला बोलेगा सरकार जो कर रहा है गलत कर रहा है, ब्यूरोक्रेट विल प्ले सेफ so that the सरकार does not get angry, और जो रियल पीपल जो है सफरर्स है वो लोग एकदम बोलेंगे भैया हमें कुछ नहीं मिला, हमें बहुत कुछ प्रॉमिस किया, ये तो सबको पता है बेसिकली, ठीक है ना। तो वहां पे तुम यू कैन नॉट एक्चुअली राइट अ स्क्रिप्ट। इफ यू राइटिंग अ फीचर फिल्म या फिक्शन फिल्म का एडवांटेज ये है, बिकॉज द कैरेक्टर्स इमेजिनरी, दो दे आर इन्फ्लुएंस्ड बाय रियल पीपल, कुड बी ओके, यू कैन राइट द डायलॉग्स, ओके, but and you know the scene flow, first scene here, second scene here, third scene, fourth scene, fifth scene, you know the scene flow, accordingly you shoot, okay, and arrange them in that order, okay. But documentary mein you cannot have a tight structure, okay. Documentary mein you cannot write a script as such, though we say तेरा script लिखा, documentary का क्या script लिखा, वो गलत है। डॉक्यूमेंट्री में हम लोग जो करते हैं वो वी राइट अ ट्रीटमेंट। ट्रीटमेंट का मतलब क्या है डॉक्यूमेंट्री में, कि तुम्हारा जनरल आइडिया क्या है, लंबाई कितना होगा, ओके, क्या क्या विजुअल्स तुम दिखाओगे, किसका किसका इंटरव्यूज लोगे, तुम्हारा ट्रीटमेंट, तुम्हारा कैमरा कैसा ट्रीटमेंट होगा, तुम बैठा के इंटरव्यू लोगे या वो काम कर रहा है, वो जा रहा है अपने काम करने के लिए, उसको तुम कैमरा लेके फॉलो करोगे, फॉलो करते करते उसको पूछताछ करोगे उसके जिंदगी के बारे में। तो दीज थिंग्स आर ट्रीटमेंट इन अ डॉक्यूमेंट्री। समझ आया? वॉइस ओवर नरेशन मैं रखूंगा या वॉइस ओवर नरेशन एकदम नहीं रखूंगा, सिर्फ इंटरव्यू के ऊपर मैं दिखाऊंगा। म्यूजिक कैसा रहेगा, इन म्यूजिक एकदम नहीं रहेगा, ठीक है ना। स्ट्रक्चरिंग कैसा हो सकता है, will I mix up the characters, ओके, और एक कैरेक्टर को लूंगा उसको खत्म करूंगा, दूसरा कैरेक्टर को पिकअप करूंगा उसका खत्म करूंगा, थर्ड कैरेक्टर को लूंगा उसका खत्म, मेरा स्ट्रक्चर ऐसा हो। दैट इज ट्रीटमेंट। तुम्हारा जनरल प्लान क्या है, जब तुम शूटिंग करोगे तुम्हें यू विल रियलाइज कि तुम्हारा जो जनरल आइडिया था इट मे नॉट मैच दैट ड्यूरिंग द शूटिंग, बहुत फर्क आ रहा है, ओके। सो डॉक्यूमेंट्री फिल्म मेकिंग इज लाइक अ जर्नी जिसका एंड क्या है you do not know. So you have a general plan in your head, you shoot according to the general plan, there will be a lot of things which will happen during the shoot which were not there, we call them happy accidents, okay. Happy accident मतलब accident generally unhappy होता है ना, tragic होता है, मर जाते हैं या पैर तो टूट जाता है। happy accident का मतलब उल्टा, जो accident जो तुम्हारा इट्स एडिंग टू द फिल्म, अरे ये मैंने सोचा ही नहीं था यार, मिल गया यार, कितना अच्छा बात है, दैट्स कॉल्ड हैप्पी एक्सीडेंट, okay. So documentary filmmaking is very uncertain, a lot of things are very uncertain, you cannot anticipate क्या होने वाला है, but you have to write a treatment is your vision in a documentary film, it's your vision how what am I going to shoot and how it's going to be structured, एक rough अंदाजा, because you cannot be sure। और फिक्शन फिल्म में ट्रीटमेंट क्या होता है, फिक्शन फिल्म में ट्रीटमेंट इज लाइटिंग कैसा होगा, कास्टिंग कैसा होगा, कॉस्ट्यूम्स कैसे होंगे, ओके, कैमरा एंगल्स कैसे होंगे, दैट ओवरऑल एक जनरल तुम्हारा एक इंप्रेशन अबाउट योर ओन, हाउ आई एम गोइंग टू ट्रीट द फिल्म डिपेंडिंग ऑन द सब्जेक्ट, ओके। ठीक है, चलो ये तो तुमने कोशिश कर, लेकिन तुम्हारा स्टोरी तुमने थोड़ा सा खो गए, ओके। प्रज्ञी,
Yes, sir.
हाँ, have you used all the sounds or you have only used 5 sounds?
There are 5 of them. I've mentioned it also.
Children crying, sound of TV, sound of hanging doors. Okay, चलो पढ़ो।
ठीक है. It was another usual morning. A woman named Suman was doing her morning course. It was around 8 in the morning. Her newly born twins were in the next room crying as they were restless. She was washing the dishes from last night as the maid had not shown up that morning when she rushed to her kids' room to quieten them. The dishes were in the sink and she was washing them with water. Suman was a bit agitated as she didn't like being wet, and a sound of water splashing added to her discomfort as some drops got splashed on her as well. The life of a mother of newborn kids is very difficult. Someone was a homemaker who lived with a husband who was a police cop. They were recently blessed with twins, one boy and one girl. That morning, her husband had a morning shift, so he was also up and getting ready for work. Suman, meanwhile, had finished washing the dishes and had moved on to make breakfast. When a maid is off work, it becomes difficult to manage everything together. As she was learning late, her husband had already. So, just a second.
Husband
Uh,
already gotten ready, and so he
had
seated
already
himself.
gotten ready, and so he had seated himself to have breakfast beforehand and switched on the TV to watch the news too. Suddenly, they both heard the sound of someone banging on their door. The sound was not usual, as the person had not rung the bell, but had chosen to bang the door. They started. Sorry, sir. They started, and Suman's husband rushed to open the door, only to find Minnie crying. Minnie was an 11-year-old kid who lived next door and who they knew from quite a while now. Minnie's family was not normal. Her parents used to argue a lot, and sometimes the neighbors had heard death threats from their household. Minnie was close to Suman, so Suman was went close to the door, and her comforting gestures brought her inside. Um, Minnie and Suman shared a special bond as Minnie found her comfort in her. Suman used to treat her like her own child. Suman and her husband politely asked Minnie to stop crying and speak the reason behind her crying. Began weeping even loudly now. The couple had no clue. So someone signaled her husband to go and check for her mom. Her husband went to the house next door to witness something extremely shocking. He saw the body of Minnie's mother lying with a pool of blood lying around her. Suman, meanwhile, was wondering what was taking her husband so long. She rushed to find one of the biggest shocks in her life. Minnie was uncontrollably crying. Suman rushed to console her, and her husband started making calls to his department to inform them what had happened. After some time, a crowd gathered around the door, and men and women started shouting at each other for various reasons behind the murder, like the mother must be trying to run away or the father was caught doing something illegal, to name a few. Soon a team arrived, and then the most usual mornings in their life became one of the most unforgettable mornings in their life.
No, but it's good, though you have exceeded the number of words, 551, your 51 words more. Okay, so यहाँ पे सिर्फ एक ही प्रॉब्लम है कि what is the story about? Tell me. Just a minute. Just a minute. What is your story about? Tell me.
So the story is about, it's actually a usual day in someone's life, and
Hmm.
how it's get affected by the arrival of someone else, and how she is related to her.
Okay. What is the contribution of the maid not being there?
What? Could
You
you
started with the maid has not come today.
repeat?
Okay, so
Yeah.
the lady seems to be hassled.
So I was
Uh,
trying to, yeah, I've mentioned it below also. I've tried to show that because the maid was late,
uh,
her daily routine got delayed, and her husband ended up watching the TV. That was the only importance about it.
the husband is.
Yeah,
Uh,
he got
but
late and he started waiting for her wife to prepare breakfast, and for that point of time, he was watching the TV. Meanwhile, the girl comes, and then the story
no,
continues.
for the sake of the story,
Yeah.
suppose even if the maid had come, okay,
Mm.
the husband is not delayed. The husband is having breakfast. Okay, and the wife is also preparing breakfast. Okay, there's no delay. The story still could have been the same, na? The
Yeah.
little girl still could have come, na? Instead of coming a little late, okay,
Yeah.
she could have come before also.
Yeah.
So what I'm trying to say is this:
Yeah.
कि
Said there's no necessary need in it.
हाँ, सो जब भी कोई कहानी लिख रहे हो तुम, एनी एलिमेंट ऑफ रियल लाइफ में ऐसा हो ही सकता है, बट सिनेमा और स्टोरी इज नॉट रियल लाइफ, ये याद रखना। हाँ, हम लोग बोलते हैं इट्स अ मिरर ऑफ रियल लाइफ, इट्स अ रिफ्लेक्शन ऑफ रियल लाइफ, इट इज नॉट, इट इज अ रिक्रिएशन। आर्ट इज ऑलवेज अ रिक्रिएशन ऑफ रियल लाइफ, वी सिलेक्ट फ्रॉम रियल लाइफ, नॉट
So
एवरीथिंग।
somewhere also I was trying to set a tone of the things getting delayed and
Very
chaotic
good,
and
very good. But that I could understand. You know, everything is, there's a hustle and bustle going on, getting things are getting delayed and all. Okay, but you could have done the entire story on that itself. Okay, without bringing in the murder aspect. That itself could have been. I'm not saying कि, so you have to
yeah,
decide कि मेरा focus क्या है. मेरा focus ये है कि बाजू में murder हुआ है, या मेरा focus है आज maid नहीं आई
yeah,
है तो थोड़ा सा family life थोड़ा सा
yeah,
disturb
yeah.
हो.
It
These are two
grabs
different
your
things.
attention from somewhere else. Yeah, yeah,
ठीक है
yeah.
ना? हाँ, so ये तुम्हें तय करने का है। रियल लाइफ में ऐसा हो ही सकता है, ऐसा नहीं बोल रहा हूँ, लेकिन मैंने अभी जो बोला, इस सिनेमा इज नॉट रियल लाइफ, इट्स अ रिक्रिएशन ऑफ लाइफ, सो यू हैव टू बी वेरी वेरी ऑब्जेक्टिव, वेरी वेरी सिलेक्टिव, नॉट ऑब्जेक्टिव, यू हैव टू बी वेरी वेरी सिलेक्टिव एंड फोकस ऑन, जैसे हम लोग वी यूज द वर्ड प्रेमिस, PREMISE, व्हाट इज द प्रेमिस? ये स्क्रीन प्ले में सिखाया जाएगा तुम लोगों को। प्रेमिस इज द वन लाइन समरी ऑफ योर स्टोरी, एक लाइन में तुम्हारा कहानी क्या है बोलो, ठीक है ना? So your story has to hang. It's like the spinal cord of your body. This premise is the spinal cord of the this thing, a story. Okay, so you have to figure out the premise. The Americans call it log line. Okay, and you decide the log line. Mera story, what is it about? If somebody asks me in one single line, how do I explain what is my story about? And then you, in one single line, you tell the story. My story is about a family, regular morning scenario when their regular life is suddenly disturbed by news of tragedy which has taken place in the form of the death of a
Then I
woman.
want to ask you, when you
Yeah.
read such questions, how do you go about the answer? I mean, what should be the trail
देखो
of thoughts
यहाँ
we
पे
should
यहाँ
follow?
पे क्या एक प्रॉब्लम है, because you have to operate within a certain frame of time. Okay, you cannot gain that clarity. That is very difficult, to tell you very frank. Okay, but the challenge lies in you have to bring, how can I bring in that clarity within a given amount of time? अगर सेम कहानी तुम खुद के लिए लिख रहे हो घर में बैठे, एंड यू डोंट हैव अ डेडलाइन, यू माइट टेक 3 weeks टू राइट अ स्टोरी एंड इट वुड बी क्लीनर, यू नो, इट वुड बी मच क्लीनर एंड मच मोर फोकस्ड, but you're not getting 3 weeks, you're getting only 3 hours, and there are other questions to attend also, isn't it? So क्या होता है, there's something in the automatic writing मतलब we start thinking very fast because we know we have a deadline, we have to submit the paper. Okay, so within that the examiner will understand it will, and the examiner will also be tolerant. If I am the examiner, and if I read this story, okay, I'll be tolerant, I will not evaluate you in a very intolerant manner. ठीक है, I will understand कि ये जो student है, okay, she has written this in a hurry, in the sense because she has other questions to write also. Okay, so I'll give you marks. Okay, that is not a, but ये मैं तुम्हारे फायदा के लिए बोल रहा हूँ, all of you, कि if you are required to write a story, try to be as focused as possible. ठीक है, sometimes you might feel अरे जो मैंने लिख डाला यार, ये तो it could have been a better, you know, could have remove the maid नहीं आया वो वाला angle, but you have already written it, you will not get an extra paper, and you don't have the time. It's too late now, so move on with the other questions, don't regret. ठीक है, it comes with practice. देखो story writing or anything comes with practice. You cannot, we don't assume कि जो बंदा एग्जाम के लिए बैठ रहा है, ओके, उसको फैंटास्टिक स्टोरी टेलिंग आएगा नहीं, इसीलिए तो तुम स्कूल, यू आर ट्राइंग टू एंटर द फिल्म स्कूल ना, टू लर्न हाउ टू टेल अ स्टोरी, follow, but this is fair enough. Okay, just try to be as focused as possible. Okay, chalo, expressive with TV shows bolo.
I'm for this statement.
Okay.
TV shows in India that are based on foreign shows are exemplary examples of globalization. They promote the concept and bring people from all over the world, close in one way or the other. People may find a common ground to discuss shows based on a similar concept. Reality shows like Kaun Banega Crorepati, based on who wants to be a millionaire, brings people sharing the same interest together in a way, even if the element of originality is not there. Ultimately, the content wins the hearts of the audience. These shows are watched collectively in many houses and a reason for even behind strengthening the family bonds. I feel the idea must be promoted and then it should be considered if it should be taken forward or not. There are
Okay.
some kids there are some
Bolo.
kids shows like Best of Luck Nikki and Suit Life of Karan and Kabir that are based on foreign shows of Good Luck Charlie and Sweet Life of Zack and Cody, respectively, which introduces some amazing content to kids as children love watching such content because of a fun storyline and entertaining characters. TV shows are a source of entertainment, and as long as it fulfills the purpose of entertainment, I don't think there's an issue. Amazing content, irrespective of its originality, should be entertained as people already have to fight their set of problems. And if in any way these mediums can bring laughter and a ray of hope in their lives, it should be promoted. Having said that, the Indian television industry should not completely be dependent on such shows, as the uniqueness of our country should also be maintained and people should create content related to our culture as well. To conclude, TV shows can be of any time type. There should always be a balance that needs to be maintained.
Very good. ठीक है. There's nothing that I can add.
Okay, sir.
You have also kind of a conclusion जो है, having said that the Indian television industry should not completely be dependent on such shows, as the uniqueness of a country should also be maintained and people should create content related to our culture as well. To conclude, TV shows can be of any type. There should always be a balance that needs to be maintained. Okay, so I think the balance is maintained. Things that work, formats that work, the Western formats that work. I mean, they're tried out. If they don't work, they're given up. Okay, and people today have become more adventurous. I mean, I'm talking about the creative people. They're trying out everything. Okay, and the most wonderful efforts are happening in the world of OTT. The series, most of the series are actually very good. Not only just the Hindi series, I've seen Tamil series, I've seen Bengali series, which are actually very good. Okay. ठीक है, it is well written. You should try to, because you are allowed 500 words and you are 200 words less. At least 450 words कोशिश करना चाहिए. Okay, चलो, form and style.
Sir, I think I don't have captured the essence of the question in this one, but still I read it.
Third question 3.
Yeah, sir.
Okay, it's a difficult question. I can understand that. Yeah.
Yeah. Form refers to the entire structure of a film, which includes everything like the orientation of the scenes, motives, mysteries, and everything that comes under a story. Form includes every important detail that we consider while filming or storytelling. It includes the screenplay of the film. Style refers to the film in which we write a particular story, the theme of the story, and to capture the essence of the film comes under styling. It does not necessarily include every detail, but it includes important details regarding the story like cinematic angles, editing shots, etc. Indian filmmaker Rajkumar Hirani's form is very unique and I find it very engaging as well. His style in filming is awesome and his editing techniques are brilliant as per me. His timings and vision of what proportion of the film to be kept and deleted makes the whole film even more plausible. His films, Mona Bhai MBBS, Three Idiots, PK are finest examples of storytelling in a way through which a message is also conveyed. His screenplay succeeds to capture the essence of the characters, and his vision helps in bringing the character to life, making them extraordinarily lovable. English filmmaker David Yates, director of the last four movies of Harry Potter, has a unique style of filming. The filmmaker's form in the four movies was absolutely specific. Absolutely. Every detail was well looked after. The screenplay was exquisite. The color palette of the film got darker with every film, which told the plot was getting darker and even more serious with time. If we talk about the style, the whole theme of the film and its essence was perfectly captured. The vision of the writer J.K. Rowling aligned well with the films. Every character felt justified, as in the book. The editing and the angles in which the scenes were shot brought the world of magic alive, and it almost felt like a real world.
Okay. Yeah, it's a little confusing because it's a difficult question. Because in order to answer the question, you need to understand what is form and what is style. And if you
Yes.
have been hearing my lectures since yesterday, I tried to explain that form is the shape that you give to a story. No, that's the content. Content is the
And
story.
style is
Okay,
the way he presents
and,
it.
and style is the personal, the personal approach. Same story, same script, suppose, yeah, made by five different directors will have five different styles. Okay, same story. Okay, same song sung by five different singers will be sung in different manners. Uh, किशोर कुमार का स्टाइल अलग होगा, मोहम्मद रफी का स्टाइल अलग होगा. ओके, कुमार सानू किशोर कुमार को कॉपी करने का कोशिश करेगा. ओके, एंड somebody will be more unique. Okay, who will not try to copy another singer. सबका अपना अपना स्टाइल होगा. Style is personal. Okay, having said that, I must also tell you कि in order to understand the style, determine or understand the style of a filmmaker, one has to look at more than one film of the same time. क्योंकि उसका स्टाइल इमर्जेस ओवर सेवरल फिल्म्स. एक सिंगल फिल्म से एक डायरेक्टर का स्टाइल नहीं भी पता चल सकता. Only when he makes the second film, only when he makes the third film, you can do a comparative study of the films and find out these are the common elements. This is how he uses the camera. This is the kind of lighting that he does. This is the kind of casting that he prefers. Okay, this is the kind of music that he prefers, the background music. Okay, so उसका ये उसका स्टाइल है. ठीक है ना. जैसे कि तुम अगर ए आर रहमान का गाना सुनोगे, यू ऑलरेडी फेमिलियर विद ए आर रहमान सॉन्ग्स. आई एम जस्ट रैंडम एग्जांपल देयर. ओके, when you listen to a R. Rahman song for the first time without knowing it belongs to A. R. Rahman, you will immediately, this must be A. R. Rahman, boss, because you're familiar
So,
with his
sir,
style.
can we say that in style we can use the element of commonality that we can find in every film that they do?
Of that particular
Yeah.
artist. एक
Yeah.
personal stamp जिसे बोलते हैं ना, branding हो
Yeah.
जाता है.
And so
हाँ.
what can be written in form? Like
Form
what?
is form is much more general. Form is much more
Yeah.
general.
So
मतलब
like
हाँ, बोलो बोलो.
if we like I wrote about Rajkumar Hirani sir's
देखो, राजकुमार हिरानी के बारे में तुमने जो लिखा,
mm,
you have used a lot of very vague. This is also something I was trying to wanted to discuss. Indian filmmaker Rajkumar Hirani's form is very unique. Now, don't write things like very unique, and I find it very engaging. मतलब you have to be able to describe what is unique in this film or why is it engaging. His style in the film is awesome. Never use words like that. Awesome. As his editing techniques are brilliant. These are very vague words. You
it's
have
not
to.
writing.
So when you're using words like awesome, then you describe why you feel it is
Yeah.
awesome. Okay, it's not enough for you to write awesome, great, fantastic. So try to avoid these kind of words unless you can describe the words. His timings and vision of what proportion of the film to be kept and deleted makes the whole film. How do you know what he has deleted? You're not there during the edit. You're not there during
So
the.
there are deleted scenes in the film also. No?
अच्छा, you must have seen that. Okay. Makes the film even more plausible. His films, मुन्ना भाई, देखो मुन्ना भाई का style अगर तुम बोलो, if you ask me what is Rajkumar Hirani ka style, okay, I'll tell you he deals with realistic subjects. Of course, he deals with realistic subjects, but he deals with them his treatment. उसका जो treatment या approach जो है, उसका style जो है, it's a little over the top. It's a little over the top. It's not naturalistic like Satyajit Ray. It's not naturalistic like Shambhala. It's a little over the top. Okay, so that's his style. And his style is also to kind of extract the maximum emotional effect in the form of emotional scenes and also the form of kind of humorous scenes. उसका एक स्टाइल बन गया. तो तुम राजकुमार हिरानी का फिल्म देखते ही तुम्हें, जैसे अभी लेटेस्ट राजकुमार हिरानी का जो डंकी या डुमकी whatever you call it release, which I have not seen, people are saying यार उसका style doesn't look like a Rajkumar film. I mean, yeah, it has all the elements of a Rajkumar film, but it's not working as much as his other films work. So people recognize his style. So ये फिल्म में भी उसका वो style है, लेकिन वो थोड़ा सा maybe it's not working as well as it is as it was there in his other films like Three Idiots, Munna Bhai, etc. समझ गया ना. So that's his style. राजकुमार, अभी तुम श्रीराम राघवन का films अगर देखोगे, he makes only thrillers. So that is the form. The thriller will have its own form. Uska style is very different. Style is very, very realistic. Okay, very, very dark. Okay, the lighting is also like that. The scenes are very crisp. There's no, the scenes are not like stretched. Okay, they are very to the point. Okay, that's his style. There's hardly any humor in his films. Things are very, very dark. The characters are very, very gray and dark.
Hmm.
Okay. Sometimes it becomes very difficult to empathize with the characters. जैसे कि बदलापुर, the hero becomes a villain, isn't it? The hardcore, hardened criminal who starts killing people and making love to women. He's on a revenge trip, but he's making love to other women. So you don't come across this kind of a character in a regular basis. That's his style. That is Sriram Raghavan style. Personal touch. So he'll select that kind of stories.
Yes, sir.
Anyway, your effort is good, but yeah, I mean, our examiner will of course
Yeah.
realize things are not so easy. अच्छा ये तुमने आंसर नहीं किया ना सिनेमेटिक ट्रीटमेंट इंडस्ट्री में
नहीं
तुमने
sir.
आंसर एनीवे तो अभी देखो ये मैं सबको बताना चाहता हूँ कि एफटीआई का जो एग्जाम है यू हैव टू रियली read a lot, watch a lot of, not only watch a lot of films, okay, read a lot, know a lot of things. So read newspapers and every day, and not and mainly focus on cultural affairs. Yeah, and during our time, there were magazines like Competition Master, Competition Success, and there were cultural magazines also, where we got to know about the different cultural aspects of different states. कथाकली कौन सा स्टेट का है एंड कुदियात्तम कौन सा स्टेट का है भारतनाट्यम कौन सा स्टेट का है who are the
Yes.
practitioners, okay. So and for the first time we were getting exposed to these things because we were preparing for FT. These things we generally did not know, okay. So we were studying very hard. You have to really study very hard and you can understand. For example, you just couldn't write about what is the cinematic treatment and what is the script.
Yeah.
You have to be ready कि भैया and even if you do not know, just use your imagination and try to kind of
Yeah.
write whatever comes to your mind. Make that effort because the
Hmm.
examiner, it's not desired. It's we understand. Examiner will understand कि भैया ये जो students लोग exams दे रहे हैं, they're not required to know everything under the sun. That's impossible. Okay,
Yes, sir.
okay. चलो अभी कौन है? Who's going to be the next? Jitin. अच्छा, how many students are left? Can you tell me? How many of you are there? Apart from Jitin, is there anybody else who is left?
Sir, I think Geet is also.
Huh?
Yes, sir. I am also left. Aditya.
Aditya and Jitin are left, huh? Anna,
Yes, sir.
only two of you others are. So can we take a small break, 10 minutes ka? Then we meet 10:20, 8:20.
Yes, sir.
Huh? Let's take a 10-minute break and we'll meet. Because only two students are left. Okay. So we'll take up Jitin's first and then Aditya. Okay. चलो 8:20 में हम लोग मीट करें. Hi, are you guys back?
Hello.
Yes, sir.
जितिन बोलो जितिन जितिन किधर है?
Sir, can we start?
Yeah, of course. But can I see your face?
Can't you?
हाँ जितिन, हाँ चलो। तुमने तुमने कलर कोडिंग भी कर डाला। ओके, कितने वर्ड्स तुमने यूज किया है? 500 वर्ड्स। ओके चलो।
Exactly 500 words.
ओके चलो।
Deep silence. And then comes the sound of water splashing. I washed my face by splashing the water and then looked into the reflection of my face in the mirror for a while. I'm a very private person and I usually don't prefer the company of other men. Even my dog Simba and I have our own specific space in the house. I never liked the idea of renting the upper floor of the house to someone, but the decision was never up to me as the house owner is just interested in making more money. At first, the arrival of Irfan and his family didn't feel that much of a nuisance, but the noise these ones make is intolerable. Simba is a normal breed, but he is very well disciplined. Unlike Irfan's fancy breed, which is always barking and playing with his daughter. The second day after their arrival, I complained to the house owner about the issue. But it seems like he thinks I am delusional, filthy little bastard. Irfan is an oversmart, extroverted guy who is always talking loudly. If someone within 5 kilometers is calling him, I think they won't need phone to hear the guy. His phone is always ringing. Till his arrival, the only sound I heard from a phone was the vibrations in between the notifications made by myself. These I can live with. But coming into my privacy is something I won't tolerate. When I went to work, his dog used to sneak into my space. Simba is helpless as he can't overclass the fancy breed. Most of the time, I see the dog leave my floor when I arrive, and I always find Simba hiding in the basement. I complained about it to Mr. Irfan, and his attitude was like, it's okay and it's not an issue. But last week, his dog broke every last bit of my patience. Simba was tortured heavily, and it was so hard for me to even look him in the eyes. Anyway, everything is over. I stopped looking in the mirror. I can hear the crying of a child from the upper floor. Most probably, it's Irfan's daughter. The wound of Simba is healing. He is watching his favorite dog show on television. The sound of television, along with the crying, makes me feel annoyed. Suddenly, I heard the banging of door. I opened my front door, and it was Irfan. He asked me whether I had seen their dog. No, I don't. I replied without wasting time. Seems like he is going to ask more. I stopped him. Excuse me, Mr. Irfan. I was preparing food for Simba. So can we talk after some time? Irfan nods his head and he leaves. I can hear the whistle of the pressure cooker from the heart itself. I serve the meat on Simba's plate. He's taking a lot of time to finish. It's okay. It is his first time. Every creature will find it hard to eat its own kind.
Witty story, good story. I got nothing to say. It's basically how. There's one thing before I proceed. When you're writing a short story or whatever kind of story that you're writing for the exam, okay, don't write I. Instead of writing I first person, you could have written he. You know.
Sir, the question was something like a narrative. So I think the
No.
narrative.
Maybe I don't know whether it's about yourself, different, whether it's for somebody. Okay, so try to avoid I. Try to write in the second person. The story does not change. The same, basically the same. Okay, and yeah, it's a very interesting story. You have used the sounds and very intelligently you have used the sounds. Okay, so this is very good and. Hopefully, it is 500 words as you are claiming because I've not counted the words and it's quite different. how the protagonist has killed the dog and cooked the dog and fed the dog meat to his own dog and has his revenge. Okay, it's a little morbid. Okay, but I mean, morbid in the sense animal lovers will object to this. But yeah, how can you do this? How can you love your own dog and not love another dog? Okay, so it's a little politically incorrect in that way. But
The character is not supposed to be politically correct.
correct also.
Story itself, the character
I'm
is
not,
also delusional.
so ठीक है, it goes with the kind of, you can always write a story of a dysfunctional or delusional character. This is very good. I've got nothing to say. It's a very good story. Okay, chalo. Abhi the second question, express your views. Bolo.
I partially disagree with the idea of Indian television shows based on foreign shows. Television shows, according to me, should represent the common audience. Television is supposed to be the close-up of audience in all aspects. Indian television should focus more on shows representing and portraying Indian culture, our diversities, and our deep roots. Nowadays, television shows are mostly based on rating and advertisement. Instead of creating newly fresh content, they are relying more on foreign shows and their recreation. In this time of internet revolution, it is no hard to spot different types of foreign shows, irrespective of their origin. OTT platforms are at their best and they also provide different foreign content in regional languages and subtitles to people who are interested in foreign culture and their shows. So, Indian television, instead of recreating foreign shows, should focus more on what we have. To me, I think Indian audience wants their situation and surroundings along with the lives they have experienced and see to be represented in television shows. Majority of television audience spend most time watching series portraying Indian community. I believe that rather than adapting foreign content, it is better to narrate stories that are emotionally connecting to the Indian viewers. The show Deal or No Deal is an Indian reality show which was adopted from a foreign show with similar name. The show was not a success in terms of rating and sponsorship compared with the foreign one. It got recreated into multiple regional languages in India but got cancelled later. To me, the adaptation of the idea of the show was okay, but the recreation of the show entirely based on the foreign one made is irrelevant. They made the logo, theme, and even set similar to that of the foreign one. I believe these elements should be based on Indian way. The theme, the texture, the atmosphere were not Indian. It would have been more efficient and able to achieve furthermore audience approval ratings when the show is more connectable in mental aspects and emotional perspective to the audience. I believe instead of spending time recreating foreign shows, the creators should invest more time in making new and fresh subjects based on unexplored themes. Something new is always good.
Yeah. So basically, you are against the motion, okay, and you have given your reasons also, and you have quoted a particular television show, the Deal or No Deal, which I have not seen, so I do not know. Maybe it did not work, okay. But there are shows which work also. तो यहाँ पे एक चीज समझना चाहिए हमें कि हम लोग इंडियन कल्चर बोलते हैं. Can understand Hindi, na?
I can understand Hindi, sir, but I can't communicate.
No, ठीक है. You speak to me in English, I can also. Of course, I switch to. We talk a lot about Indian culture, especially nowadays. Okay, as if any other culture is inferior to us. It's sort of question of culture. A long time ago, in a fantastic essay, okay, Satyajit Ray had written a wonderful thing, wonderful line. You know, our cultures can be different. Okay?
Yeah, sir. Also, one second, sir. My perception or my idea of Indian culture is not something similar to that of the so-called Indian culture. These guys are saying.
समझ गया. Yeah, of course. So I'm not also talking about that. I assume that you are also kind of your views are different. So what I'm trying to say, cultures can be different. You know, there's nothing called Indian culture as such. Within India, Indian culture is not a homogeneous entity. Homogeneous entity, matlab, it is heterogeneous. It is heterogeneous. There are different kinds of cultures. Different kind of cultures. cultures. There's so many regions. There's so many, even within a single state, the language is different. The way Tamil or Bengali or any language is spoken, Hindi, the way Hindi is spoken within the state of Bihar would differ from one area to another area, isn't it?
Yes.
Okay. So one cannot say this is our Indian culture. That is very vague and problematic. Anyway, so the entire world has might have different cultures. The Western culture, of course, they're a little different from what we call so-called Indian culture and all that. Okay. लेकिन यहाँ पे सत्यजीत ने एक बहुत अच्छा चीज बोला था, no matter how culturally different we are, the basic human emotions are the same. Basic human emotions, isn't it? If your father dies, if my mother dies, we feel sad, we cry. वो इंडिया हो या अमेरिका हो या आइसलैंड हो या अफ्रीका हो, we fall in love. If the girl leaves me, I feel sad.
But sir, also some things are different based on country. If you are going to talk about making love in public in India, the response will not be similar to that of.
No, wait, बोल रहा हूँ ना, I'm not talking about activities. I'm talking about human emotions. Basic human emotions, जो होता है, sadness, happiness, love, lust.
Yes.
Basic human emotions are the same everywhere throughout the centuries also. It's not. I'm not just talking about contemporary culture. Okay, so there's nothing wrong if I read a book. There's so many Shakespeare's plays have been adapted so many times, especially Macbeth. All over the world. All over the world, it has been adapted into a Japanese film by Kurosawa, A Blood of Throne. Okay, it has been made into so many films in different European languages. In India, it has been adapted so many times by this guy, the Mangoor. He made Mangoor with Irfan Khan. Recently, there's a Malayalam film which was made with this guy who's very popular. It was made during the COVID times. Okay, but the setting was changed entirely. It is a small Malayalam village. Okay, and it has this guy. What's this guy Malayalam actor's name? This Fahad Fasil.
Fahad Fazil.
Fahad Fasil. I'm forgetting the name of the film. It's a wonderful film. Okay, and it's set in contemporary times. It does not have kings and queens and all that stuff. Okay, and very, very rooted. But the basic idea was from Macbeth. Okay, so there's
Joji.
Joji.
Yeah, movie's name was Joji.
Joji. So what I'm trying to say is this: just because I'm adapting Shakespeare or some foreign story does not mean I'm avoiding my stories from my apna country or apna region or culture, so-called culture. Okay, so as long as the emotions work, of course, we have to be very careful. How do I Indianize it? Okay, so that Indian audience is able to relate to Macbeth. Okay.
Sir, I think my idea was taking the idea from foreign shows or foreign contents is okay, but recreating that stuff with only changing the country or the situation
of course, not the milieu has to change. Joji may change kiya. Okay. Joji,
that was entirely different. They only
absolutely.
took the idea.
So, I'll definitely give you good scores.
Also, everything is the recreation of something, right?
Of course. Everything is derivative. There's nothing called original idea. If you read up on storytelling, the craft of storytelling, and a whole lot of books on screenplay writing, you realize there are certain basic templates that we follow. Like जैसा कि Indian music में they say ना, there are seven ragas. And every song that you compose, there are variations of that raga. Same raga, you can have 20 different compositions. But the raga is the same. Particular raga is the same. Even in storytelling, when you go deep into storytelling studies, okay, the craft of storytelling, you realize some people have said there are 36 plots. Some people have said there are only 20 plots. Some people have said there are only 7 plots. And every film or every story that we write or make, the variations of these 7 plots, or 20 plots, or 36 plots. Those are debatable, but there's always a research going on, trying to kind of narrow down to what are the basic templates. Okay. Anyway, yours is good enough. And okay, let's move on to form and style. Yeah.
Sir, if I have to add on something even more, what would you suggest?
I would have asked you थोड़ा सा repetitive है definitely to give a few more examples. यहाँ पे क्या लिखा है? Give suitable examples. You have only given the example of deal or no deal.
Sir, actually, I also had another example, like Who Wants to Be a Millionaire, Kaun Banega Crorepati. But it was a success in terms of figures and
so you cannot.
So I didn't.
Yesterday, there was one girl, I think, I'm forgetting her name. She gave two examples. Adaptation of Friends, which did not work, and adaptation of something else, which also did not work. She was kind of against the motion. Anyway, so a little more examples could have been better, but ठीक है. And the form and style, bolo.
Style in filmmaking refers to the way in which a filmmaker constructs scenes in order of mise en scene, background music, and camera movement, along with his signature. Whereas form can be described as the total sum of film, it represents the type of film intended by the maker. They are different in terms of meaning, but are interdependent based on outcomes intended by the maker. Style of filmmaking is different to different directors. Every filmmaker should have his own unique way of filmmaking in order to be successful. If you have given a certain plot of film to different directors, the scenes constructed by each one will be different. The way which is suited or adapted for each filmmaker is his style of filmmaking.
Very
The,
good.
the final construction of the film represent the same plot but with different aspects which can be stated as form. Let's
Okay,
take
very good. So, according to you, the style is the individual stamp. It's the uniqueness of the filmmaker, isn't it?
Yes.
So, every filmmaker is different from signature. Every filmmaker is different from the other filmmaker. Even if they're doing 5 filmmakers are doing the same subject, isn't it?
Yes.
But the style would be different. Same script, the style would be different. But यहाँ पे एक चीज I must warn you, don't use words like mise-en-scène. Style in filmmaking refers to the way in which a filmmaker constructs scenes in order of mise-en-scène. What do you mean by in order of mise-en-scène?
Sir, in order of mise-en-scene, the properties and all the stuffs included in the location, the settings.
Right. Construct scenes in order of mise-en-scene. Achha, it's not very clear.
Mise-en-scene, sir, that's only one word. Background music and camera movement.
Camera movement is a part of the mise-en-scene.
Yeah.
Okay, background music is not a part of mise-en-scene, but the camera movement is also a part of the mise-en-scene. Try to avoid words like mise-en-scene when you're, even if you know, okay, because examiners do not like students who use fancy words. Fancy, but for us, it's a very common word. Okay, mise-en-scene, montage. Okay, there's certain, but if you are trying to use words like this, it might become a little problematic. May not also depends on who is correcting your paper. Okay.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, then let's take Rahi Anil Barbe's Bolo.
Let's take Rahi Anil Barbe's work Tumba for analysis. The Indian film is intended to create horror. Some viewers may find the film disturbing too. Barbe's style of filmmaking is dark and intense. Rather than mostly depending upon CGI works, he tried to recreate the fantasy elements within the film set. The energy his scenes conveyed, the rhythm of the movie, the emotions of the film delivered describe his style of filmmaking. All these styles of scene constructions affected the total mood of the movie, and the final product represents the form which he wished for. For example, when considering Quentin Tarantino's movie, he has a unique style of filmmaking which is not often seen. Whichever the film is, it always has a Tarantino touch, and that touch represents his identity in terms of filmmaking. Take Tarantino's The Hateful Eight, for example. Each scene is constructed slowly and carefully for better build-up of the characters and total understanding of the situation, which results in the chaotic ending of the film, which to me is the soul of the movie. The output of the ending depends on his style of making used to portray each scene, but the outcome itself can be termed as the form of the filmmaker.
Very good. You've understood the concept of form and style. Your understanding of the word style is much better than form. For example, Tarantino touch. We always use this word Tarantino touch. Tarantino जैसा film. That means Tarantino का एक style है, which people have started copying also. Okay, his quicksilver dialogues, lengthy scenes. Scenes are very lengthy.
The close-up
Fantastic
scenes to create
dialogues.
emotion,
And unexpected violence. Suddenly, violence. You're not expecting the violence. Huh? Suddenly, the violence erupts.
and then the chaos starts.
Yeah. So these things are very unique to Tarantino. देखो अभी मार्टिन स्कॉर्सेसी का भी फिल्म में वायलेंस है ना?
There is
टारंटिनो का फिल्म में भी वायलेंस है, but these are two different directors, two different approaches, two different styles. Okay, ठीक है, this is very good. Okay, 354 words. Okay, what is the cinematic treatment in the script? This is the most tricky this thing. Parov.
A film treatment is the total summary of a film. It is used to communicate all the essential scenes, themes, and mood of the project, which engages the producers into reading, developing, and purchasing your idea. It is the way to present the story idea of your film without using the entire script. While a script includes total detailing of setting, character, dialogue, and story, movie script is a written document that comprises all the narrative and visual elements for making a movie.
Okay.
Cinematic treatment in the case of a documentary is always based on the merit of the subject and also based on the audience intended. Documentary movies are mostly made not for entertainment purposes, so the treatment will be accordingly. Without much fantasizing and exaggerating the plot, a documentary director always focuses on the subject which he intended to present to the audience. Similarly, a fully finished script is not often used in making a documentary. The documentary is not staged and may not involve professional actors representing characters, but are real people. So a fixed script will not help here. Also, a well-scripted documentary might feel artificial as the soul of a documentary lies in its naturality. Had an excellent work should be put into making a documentary, but a complete script isn't important.
देखो यहाँ पे the complete script तुमने लिखा, but a complete script is not important. It is not possible. In a documentary, it is not possible, isn't it? That you have explained.
It's
because you
kind of
cannot
possible.
stage. You cannot stage in a documentary film. You cannot stage actors and you cannot have a mise en scène, which is possible in a fiction film.
But sir, it's still possible, right? If I want to make something which I had intended to make and call it a documentary, which is then it's also documentary. If I had staged something and tell that this is the reality.
What you're saying is an extreme case of documentary filmmaking.
Yeah.
Let's not get into that. Because the documentary, what is a documentary? What can be termed as a documentary? What cannot be termed as a documentary? A lot of research and a lot of activities have gone behind this. Okay, but for our sake, for a beginner, when you are kind of trying to sit for an exam, right? For an exam, entrance exam, FTI or SRFTI, documentary and fiction, two broad things. It's debatable. The documentary practitioners will contest me, but as of now, for the sake of clarity, just try to understand this fiction film. There's an amount of manipulation, isn't it? You're staging the scene, you're getting actors, okay, who are acting other characters. There's lighting involved. Okay, you can manipulate the lighting. So there's a mise en scène. Mise en scène is manipulative. Okay, your fiction. So fiction is manipulative. You're turning a garage into a drawing room. You're turning a garage into a police station by art direction, isn't it? So fiction film is always very manipulative. Manipulation is a key word. A documentary film, ideally, I'm using the word ideally, okay, is not manipulative. Of course, you might say, challenge me, sir, no, it can also be manipulative. Of course, it can be. I'm not getting into that today.
I had seen films that is naming documentary, but they are staged.
So I'm not getting into that today. Okay, right now.
Get the idea,
ideally, a documentary film is not supposed to be manipulative. Okay, you ideally you cannot have control over. If there's a riot happening, the riot is happening whether you go with your camera or not, isn't it? If there's a traffic jam on the road, there's a traffic jam will happen whether you go there with your camera or not. But if you're recreating the traffic jam, it becomes manipulation. You can't pass it off as a documentary. That is a different thing. This is actual traffic jam. This is actual riots. Okay, but you have staged it. Okay, that's a different argument. I'm not getting into that. But as of now, for our discussion, manipulation is there in fiction, and documentary mein is basically observation. Okay.
Sir, so it's better to write that the company
Simple, be
script is
simple.
important, but is it possible? Right.
Possible, because keep it as simple as possible. Don't try to be over smart, because the examiners don't like students who are over smart, or don't try to impress. That is what I'm trying to say. Okay, chalo.
That element is in my blood. I can't.
Okay, chalo then.
Sir, okay. Sir, in fictional films, the sale of the project is too important. Fictional movies should impress the producer and the mass audience based on the genre. So the cinematic treatment should be accordingly. The cinematic treatment in fictional films should highlight the most important information about the film, including title, story, and character description, and is intended to create an impression on the producer who is expected to fund the project. A complete script is not mandatory in making a fictional film, but to me, I believe a well-written script is essential, and it will improve the movie in many aspects like continuity, total understanding of the plot, and visual elements. Most fictional films depends upon script for production. Unlike documentary, a fictional movie can be created as such as the script demands, while the creator only needs to have the proper backing of producer.
यहाँ पे this is the problematic. Therefore, you're contradicting yourself. First of all, you've written a complete script is not mandatory in making a fiction film. It is. Okay.
Sir, these times.
Wait. Okay. Now you can tell me about directors like Fellini and Ritik Ghatak and all, people who never had scripts, but still they shot masterpieces. Those are exceptional cases. Let's not go by the exception. Let's go by the rule. Okay. You can have a script. You can deviate from the script. वो भी हो सकता है. You're improvising on the set and you're changing the scene, but you have to have a proper script. 99% of the films which are made in the world.
Sir, okay. Excuse me, sir.
Okay, so it is imperative that you have a script, which you cannot have in a documentary film. Okay, and as far as treatment is concerned, fiction film ke liye, again I'll repeat this for everybody. There's something called the treatment. There's something a treatment note, and there's something called the treatment. Try to understand. These are very problematic words, phrases. What is a treatment or cinematic treatment in cinema, in fiction film, where you write a note, basically one page, where you tell how you're looking at the film which is going to be made. What's your visualization? What's your the kind of casting that you do, the kind of lighting that you do, the kind of camera movement that you will do, the kind of the treatment. Basically, it's how you're going to treat the film in terms of audio and visual. That is called the treatment note. Okay, because that treatment note is again, I mean, you can write it for a documentary film. This is how I intend to treat my documentary film. So my camera will be handheld. I'll not use voiceover. I'll have impromptu interviews with people who are not ready for the interview. I'll provoke them with tricky questions or provocative questions. This is my approach. So treatment note. Okay, try to understand the phrase. Treatment note is basically your approach. How you going to approach the shooting, the making of the film, whether it's a fiction film or whether it's a documentary film. Now there's something of the treatment, just the treatment. I'm not about treatment note, which you have fantastically explained in the first paragraph itself. Film treatment is the total summary of the film. Sometimes, a script is 110 pages or 120 pages. People don't have the time or the mental frame to read a 120-page script, okay, with dialogues and everything. So what they will tell you, send me the treatment, send me the 2-page treatment, or send me the story, or send me the synopsis. Okay, so treatment is basically a detailed synopsis of the script. So if the script is 120 pages, the treatment would be 5 pages or 6 pages, which is like a detailed visual summary, no dialogues, visual summary of the actual script. so which you have written very well. The film treatment is the total summary of a film, but a detailed summary running into 5 to 6 pages. Could be more also. It is used to communicate all the essential scenes and the themes and the mood of the project, which engages the producers into reading, developing, and purchasing your idea. It is the way to present the story idea of your film without using the entire script. Very good. While a script includes the total detailing of setting, character, dialogue, and story, movie script is a written document that comprises all of the narrative. So this is the difference between script and treatment. And treatment note is something else. Okay, and don't write one has to impress the producer and all. Don't get into that. Okay, chalo. Abhi Aditya, you are left.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir.
Aditya ka upar hoga. Aditya is left, na? Is there anybody else?
No, sir.
You're the last guy. Repeat हो गई है.
सर उसमें नीचे ऐड नहीं किया है क्या? मैंने मैम को आज भेजा था, उन्होंने बोला
अच्छा
था
आज
कि
भेजा, आज भेजा तो ये इसमें ठहरो. कल नहीं भेजा था ना, ये कल का डॉक्यूमेंट भेजो.
आज भेजा था. हाँ,
आज ठीक है. Just a minute. एकदम नीचे होगा. Excellent. Okay. Aditya, can you see?
yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir. Should I start reading?
Yeah. Start reading. Oh,
Yes, sir. So something is blocking the view.
कर ले 2 मिनट. क्या बाद में आधा घंटा बाद होगा. Shares. Okay, can you see?
Yes, sir.
Okay, चलो पढ़ो. हाँ. Okay. कौन सा तुमने यूज किया? What are the sounds that you have used?
Sir, I have used heavy breathing, splashing of water, crying children, sound of TV radio, and sound of banging door.
Okay, chalo, start.
Sheldon's blissful nap is disturbed by the noise of splashing water from the lake very next to his house. He wakes up with parental instinct of caution and rushes outside, panting, finding his 2 kids playing in the lake. Dad sighs in relief, yet his face wasn't completely robbed of the stress. Something bothered him. Where's your mom? he asks his children, and they tell him she went to run some errands. Now, out of the lake, kids, the match is about to begin. Dry up. Sheldon lives in a farmhouse on the outskirts of the noisy city. Hence, they live a life away from the honks and the screen. Only piece of screen Sheldon uses is the TV because he's a big time Yankee baseball team fan and wouldn't miss a match. As Sheldon turns the TV, suddenly the broadcast is interrupted by an emergency message. Loud noise from the TV and flashing red lights. An outbreak. There's been an outbreak. Whole nation is on lockdown. The fatality is 100%. Nothing more can be explained except the severity of the situation. Sheldon finds peace in the fact that his children join him, that they live away from the city. But it is soon replaced by the horrific realization that Linda was out to run errands. She was in the city. Sheldon quickly reached out for his little cell phone he had kept for such emergencies. Hello, Linda says, breathing heavily. Honey, you need to get back as soon as possible. Listen, it's too late. Do not open the door. I repeat, do not open the door. Shut your mouth and get back home right now. Daddy, is mommy okay, Daddy? Lock the door and throw the key. Do not open. My last wish. Honor. Swear by our children, says Linda, and hangs up the phone. Sheldon, as horrified as he is, a man of rational thought, locks the door, throws the key away, tries to contact police, but there is no answering. Sheldon turns on the radio. I cannot explain what I just saw. Hell has broken upon us. Men eating men. No. And Sheldon turns off the broadcast. Bedtime. But where's mom? We are not sleeping without. And suddenly it is interrupted by loud banging on the door. Sheldon, honey, I made it. I ran them out. I'm not bitten. Open the door. You made me promise, Linda. I can't. They are after me. Open the door. Infuriatedly banging. You don't understand. They are merciless. Children start crying, trying to open the door. Kids, holding tears. Bedtime. But mom, you're going to be in real trouble. To your rooms now. Sheldon tucks them in the bed, holding his tears, and covered the kids' ears. Linda screams in agony.
What is the ending? What is the resolution?
So basically, it's a zombie apocalypse kind of situation.
That I can understand.
Basically, Linda made it, and she was standing on the other side of the door. But she asked Sheldon to not open the door at all costs, and that was her last wish she asked to honor. So Sheldon
she's
couldn't
not
open
let in. She's not let in. है ना?
Yeah. But Linda eventually realized her fate and gave up and asked the kids to go away so that they wouldn't hear it.
Okay, this is a good story. I just want to tell you one thing. Try to avoid when you're writing a story. First, try to have a story which is a little Indian. Okay, this is a very, very foreign kind of a story. Or Korean films, Korean films and American films. They make a lot of zombie films. So examiners would prefer, stories which have much more kind of Indian sensibilities, because we don't make this till now. Zombie films have not been made, and kind of, though it's good, I like the thing and the tragedy also. Okay?
Yes, sir.
So try to write an Indian story. Okay?
Yes, sir.
Because this is too derivative. जिसे हम लोग बोलते हैं derivative. Nothing wrong in it. But why take a chance now? Because you are trying to enter a film school. So try to play a little safe. Nothing.
Yes.
Okay?
Yes.
Otherwise, it's very good. Okay.
Sure.
Chalo,
Express your views for TV shows in India which are based on foreign shows. Give suitable example. There are a lot of Indian TV shows that are adapted from foreign shows, and it is ideally not a problem. In fact, it serves in the growth of Indian television landscape and presents opportunities for viewers to engage in more diverse form of entertainment. Shark Tank India, for example, is a great show that has been inspired from Shark Tank in America, where young entrepreneurs pitch their businesses to investors. This show had a lot to offer to viewers and the contestants who seeked and obtained funding opportunities to kickstart their business into something. The viewers obtained insights with more transparency around how the startup environment works and what do investors expect from the business owners. This shows that if a show is adapted good enough, it will find its place in the market and have a lot of value to provide. Kaun Banega Crorepati is also inspired by a foreign show who's going to be a millionaire, a massive success and a great source of knowledge and entertainment in Indian households. Bhuvan Bam, a famous YouTuber, extended thanks to the show as his father who is suffering from Alzheimer's, barely able to recognize Bhuvan himself, was able to recollect some old memories while watching the show. Clearly, a lot of reality TV shows have found success in an Indian landscape adapted from foreign shows. A great emphasis must be given on adapting the show according to Indian cultural trends, and adaptation must be adjusted according to the taste of Indian households if it wants to find success. For example, in KBC, we often see Amitabh Bachchan interacting on a personal level with the contestants, which is appreciated and inspiring in Indian households.
Very good.
Keeping keeping in mind all yes, sir, just a second. Keeping in mind all forms of television, all forms of foreign television is not suitable to Indian landscape. For example, multiple attempts have been made at making sitcoms inspired from foreign shows like Best of Luck Nikki, Sweet Life of Karan and Kabir, Shake It Up. While Best of Luck Nikki found its audience as it represented an Indian family, Shake It Up failed to do so because it wasn't as relatable to the Indian audience and was only able to find a niche audience, which was not enough to sustain the show. Tarak Mehta is a prime example of what kind of situational comedies work in India due to the distinct difference in humor and style of the audiences. Here I am for the TV shows based on foreign shows, if done with keen consideration regarding the target audience and adapted as such.
Very good. It's very well argued. Brilliant examples. You've given a lot of examples. Okay. And it shows that we're exposed to television, and a lot of students have not been able to give so many examples. A lot of students have not given any example at all. Okay. But at least you have given a lot of examples, shows that have why they are unique. Given a film program like Kaun Banega Crorepati mein Amitabh Bachchan, the way he interacts at a personal level, which is very, very unique. Which may not be there in the actual show. I have not seen the actual show. So
Yes.
this is very well argued. Okay. Very well done. Very well written. Okay. Chalo, let's move on to the next question. Question 3. Yeah.
What is the difference between form and style in filmmaking? Elaborate the distinction with an example of an Indian filmmaker and one from international filmmaker. Form and style of filmmaking refers to the method used to convey the story in terms of technical elements, camera angles, lighting, cinematography, and narrative-based elements such as composition of story, timeline, linear, non-linear, plot devices, and structure. Every filmmaker has his own unique form to convey their stories, and there is no strict rule regarding what must be followed. The art form tends to be subjective in nature, and what could be a masterpiece to someone could be complete nonsense to another. Style has more aesthetic element to it, and it must work with coherence to the form of the film. The lighting, angles, sound must be used in a way to convey the narrative of the story. For example, the movie Tamasha, we see colder tones in when Ranveer's father disagrees with his vision of becoming an artist, while later the tone turns warmer and more comfortable as Ranveer slowly embraces who he truly is. Hence, style must convey the emotional capacity of a scene using the known technical elements or create newer innovations.
Okay. Very good. Then.
For example, there is a similarity in between Christopher Nolan and Imtiaz Ali in the form of how their characters are always very passionate, emotional beings, controlled and influenced heavily by their internal conflict. Like Ranveer in Tamasha, whether to pursue his passion for drama or follow his dad's wishes. And Cooper in Interstellar conflicted whether to go on the space journey, abandoning his daughter, but possibly securing her and humanity's future. The passion in both cases are very innate to human nature. The style they use to deliver their narrative is vastly contrasting to each other. Christopher uses fiction and a lot of plot devices to create novel situations with same grounded emotional conflict. His stakes are large to create a sense of importance, while Imtiaz's style is to keep situations grounded and more lifelike. Enjoying the relatability factor that comes with it becomes easier to resonate with. On
Okay.
technical
Good.
side of things, Christopher uses a lot of wide camera angles, handled shots to let the world blend in along with the characters. Let the audience soak in the interesting and massive world he creates with his movies. While we see tighter shots in Imtiaz's film to communicate the emotional intimacy of the characters. Nolan uses non-linear flow of storytelling, uses a lot of flashbacks to convey his narrative as it feels natural to him, while Imtiaz has a more linear style. Eventually, the climax brings back the audience to the beginning of the film, how the characters have led their journey. For example, Interstellar ends with Cooper talking with his daughter on her deathbed, and she tells him that she was right about the ghost of the wardrobe all along, which she told about him in the very beginning. In Tamasha, Ranveer revisits Deepika, and he is back to his authentic self, as we saw in the opening, which got lost. lost, and Deepika revived
Very
it.
good. Very good. You have very wonderfully explained the difference in style between Nolan and Imtiaz Ali by referring to their individual films and specific situations in terms of lighting, tones, characterization. This is very wonderfully done. Just that I find, I mean, the style you have got. What is style? The style defines the filmmaker. सब हर फिल्ममेकर का अपना अपना स्टाइल होगा, ठीक है ना?
Yes, sir.
हाँ, तो तुमने सही एग्जाम्पल देके सही बहुत बहुत ही स्पेसिफिक तुमने एग्जाम्पल दिया, बहुत अच्छी तरीके से एक्सप्लेन किया। लेकिन फॉर्म के बारे में तुम्हें व्हाट एग्जैक्टली यू मीन बाय फॉर्म, कैन यू टेल मी? इट्स नॉट elaborated so much as you have elaborated style.
Sir, I honestly couldn't draw a major distinction between form and style. I felt that they are very synonymous to each other. So I did not go
देखो,
into
style I'll tell you, which I've been telling the other students also, कि style is very personal. Style is और अपना stamp है ना, अपना
Yes, sir.
अपना स्टैम्प तुमने ठोक दिया,
Yes, sir.
ठीक है? वो तुम कॉन्शियसली भी कर सकते हो, अनकॉन्शियसली भी, मैक्सिमम टाइम अनकॉन्शियसली हो जाता है ये, ठीक है ना? तुम
Yes,
द
sir.
वे
Yes, sir.
इट्स योर पर्सनल अप्रोच व्हिच विल बी डिफरेंट फ्रॉम somebody else's personal approach. That is very personal. Style is personal. Where form is general. मतलब अगर तुम थ्रिलर बना रहे हो, ठीक है, सपोज तुम लव स्टोरी नहीं बना रहे हो, लव स्टोरी का एक फॉर्म होता है, फॉर्मेट होता है, थ्रिलर का कुछ और फॉर्मेट होता है ना? तुम अगर राम गोपाल वर्मा का सत्ता देखोगे, ठीक है ना, तो वहां पे deals with Bombay underworld, okay, and there's so many other films which deal with the Bombay underworld, okay. So form क्या है? Bombay underworld के ऊपर अगर तुम फिल्म बना रहे हो, the character should look very realistic. They should not ideally be stars because stars अपना attention अलग से draw कर लेता है, ठीक है ना? और handled होता है बहुत फिल्मों में, थ्रिलर्स में high contrast.
Okay, so the form is more objective aspects of a story
हाँ,
that
ऑब्जेक्टिव,
happens.
हाँ, लेकिन इसके अंदर भी चलो, राम गोपाल का स्टाइल विल बी डिफरेंट फ्रॉम अनदर, अनुराग कश्यप का स्टाइल, वुड बी डिफरेंट फ्रॉम श्रीराम राघवन का स्टाइल। तीनों लेकिन थ्रिलर्स बना रहे हैं, ठीक है ना? और कंटेंट जो है थ्रिलर का, जो कंटेंट है, डिसाइड्स द फॉर्म, लेकिन वो फॉर्म, द कंटेंट डिसाइड्स द फॉर्म, लेकिन फॉर्म में मैं पर्सनल एलिमेंट क्या डाल रहा हूँ, मेरा पर्सनल अप्रोच क्या है, दैट इज द स्टाइल। स्टाइल इज मच मोर इंडिविजुअल, समझ
Yes,
गए?
sir. Yes.
ओके, चलो, एटलीस्ट तुम स्टाइल के बारे में सही लिखा है, और एग्जांपल्स जो तुमने किया है, डिस्कस किया, बहुत अच्छा है। चलो, सिनेमैटिक ट्रीटमेंट एंड स्क्रिप्ट, दिस इज द मोस्ट डिफिकल्ट।
Yes, sir. After a story has been finalized, before converting it into a screenplay, a cinematic treatment is decided. How will the story be adapted, in what tone and what style? Through what genre? For example, The Truman Show is dressed as a comedy, but could have worked as a horror feature as well. It sells the tragedy better in the form of a satire, hence comedy was a good idea for a cinematic treatment for the film. It's a choice that makes sure creative vision of the creator gets communicated on the screen.
सही है, ठीक है, चलो।
The script eventually depends upon what cinematic treatment is going to be given to a story. The flow, the structure, and narrative all depends upon the choice of cinematic treatment.
Good.
For example, Mission Raniganj, a fictional biopic movie, and The Rescue, a documentary. Both are based upon a rescue mission about a flooding in a cave. Both are made very differently, with different creative visions for each. Mission Raniganj was made for theatrical release for mass Indian audience, and its script was made as such. It envelops the experience of the people who were involved in the accident and presents it in a dramatic style to create a thrilling atmosphere. The cinematic vision of the film was to convey information about the happenstance while entertaining the audience with suspense and drama. It takes the classic movie trope of a hero and a villain to communicate the challenges faced by the rescuers, be it governmental interference or machinery unavailability. A villain who caused these hindrances without much factual accuracy is created. Accuracy wasn't the biggest concern for the film. It was entertainment of the audience and the delivery of the sentimental value of the incident. The script was full of one-liner comedy pieces that felt unnatural, but worked in the theater and had a goosebump value to it by using movie tropes such as all is lost moment, the victorious emergence of the protagonist.
Okay. Then
The rescue, on the other hand, is a documentary with a cinematic treatment of giving the most amount of details with utmost accuracy. It manages to communicate a great deal of information in its less than 2 hours of runtime while continually maintaining the sentimental value of the scenes. As we see the British divers talking about their personal lives and the people in their lives talking about the impact of the incident as well. We also dived into the past of the divers to set a tone on how much this rescue operation meant to them. Hence, the script and the structure of a documentary is more oriented towards providing authenticity as entertainment while maintaining the sentimental value of the moments that are being shown. Hence, the difference in the cinematic treatment of movies and documentaries creates a vast difference in their scripts. Documentaries aim to be authentic, both with sentimental value and information, while fiction films utilize several movie-making tropes such as protagonist versus antagonist, all is lost, sudden emergence of light, fall from glory to enhance entertainment and drama, and use the narrative to truly communicate the legend of a character.
देखो यहाँ पे एक प्रॉब्लम है, तुमने लिखा लास्ट जस्ट हेलो, हाँ हाँ, हेलो,
Yes, sir.
हाँ,
Yes, sir.
तो यहाँ पे एक प्रॉब्लम है, डॉक्यूमेंट्रीज एम टू बी ऑथेंटिक, हाँ, तुम लिख रहे हो
Yes, sir.
एज इफ फीचर फिल्म्स आर नॉट मेंट टू बी ऑथेंटिक। देखो फीचर फिल्म्स, फिक्शन फिल्म्स आर आल्सो मेंट टू बी ऑथेंटिक। ओके, तुम जो ट्रोप्स का बात कर रहे हो ना, एनहांस द अपना ऑल इज लॉस्ट मोमेंट, प्रोटैगनिस्ट वर्सेस एंटागनिस्ट, सडन इमर्जेंस ऑफ लाइट, फॉल फ्रॉम ग्लोरी, ओके, एक्सेट्रा एक्सेट्रा, these are script devices that a writer and a director they use to create drama. To drama se conflict aata hai, conflict se the film becomes interesting. But the aim of a good film, whether it's a fiction or a documentary film, is to be authentic. Okay, even when you're watching a fairy tale or even when you're watching Harry Potter, for those 3 hours or 2 hours and you're inside the hall, you believe in that particular world, so it looks very authentic to you. Maybe it's a fairy tale. Okay, so this is a little problematic जो तुमने लिखा है. Okay, so both documentaries and fiction films are meant to be authentic. Whether they're authentic or not, that's a different thing. वो अलग बात है. You can always तुम तो झूठ बोल ही सकते हो, especially fiction. Documentary में भी तुम झूठ बोल सकते हो. ठीक है. This is number one. Number two, which I liked, is basically the very first paragraph after a story has been finalized, before converting it into a screenplay, a cinematic treatment is decided. Okay, so this is basically how you to treat the film in terms of its genre, whether it's going to be a comedy, Truman Show, an example here.
Yes,
examples are very good. Okay, na?
Yes.
But treatment, as I was explaining to the previous student, it's a very problematic word. There's something called the treatment note. Treatment note is your visualization, your vision. How am I going to treat this script? I'm talking about fiction film, which is also applicable for documentary. Yes, how am I going to treat the film in terms of camera, movement, या static रहेगा, या narration रहेगा, या नहीं रहेगा, क्या रहेगा, what kind of casting, what would be my kind of music, what this is what will be my approach to this particular script that I want to turn it into a film, which will be different from me, and my cinematic treatment note will be different from somebody else's. That is treatment note, which you're required to write and give. It should not be more than one. And there's something called the treatment. What is the treatment? जो तुम्हारा the previous student I think Srijit na Srini, whatever his name. Okay, so it's a summary, a detailed summary, 5 to 6 pages of the detailed summary of the script, because most producers or production houses, they don't have the patience or the time to read a 120 or 100-page script. What they prefer, to be treatment page. Treatment page means the detailed story, the summary of the. So instead of sending a 100-pager or 120-pager, what you're sending them is a 5-pager or a 8. Sometimes they tell you, send us an 8-page story version of your script. 8-page story version, but what they're looking for is basically the treatment. And what you mean by treatment is a summary, basically, without the dialogues. Okay, yes, so when somebody is reading the treatment, I'm not talking about treatment note, he should be able to visualize how the film is unfolding in front of his eyes without the dialogues. So that's
yes, sir.
Okay, so these are very tricky cinematic treatment note, self-treatment. This is a difficult question, actually. I mean, you're not required to understand these things at this stage.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay, otherwise, your effort is very good. I like it. Okay, and even the last question, the other questions also. And what I like most is basically the examples diya, and you've gone into specific situations and scenes and all. which is very good. That shows that you're exposed to cinema and you watch all kinds of cinema. Keep up this habit. Okay, na?
Yes, sir.
So be
Yes,
exposed to all kinds of cinema, especially television, also television, OTT channels and all that. Okay, chalo, all the best. Just a moment, I'll stop sharing. And is there anybody left? I don't think there's anybody left. Okay.
Yes, sir.
So
Yes, sir.
Aditya, where are you from?
So I'm from Varanasi.
Varanasi. Good. Okay, keep it up. We'll meet again next week, Thursday,
Yes, sir.
या
Yes, sir.
Friday को
Yes,
बता देगा, ठीक है ना?
Yes.
So something else. Okay, chalo. Thanks. Bye bye.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. Good night, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, chalo.
Good night.